All right, g'day guys, and welcome to this. Well, we've already had someone leave, so there you go. All right, welcome to Ask a Pathfinder's actual play all-star cast that we are going to be exploring Raenor, a new third-party game system that will be coming out hopefully soon in concordance with Storm Bunny Studios. With me today are a group of very excited players who apparently haven't muted their mic. So give me, bear with us. This is exactly how real this is. This is something you have come to know about Ask a Pathfinder. Is we're real, okay? Our audio quality, kind of comes and goes. But speaking of people who are professional and obviously a lot more, good with their audio quality, let me, of course, start by introducing you guys to Dustin from Never Split the Party. G'day, mate. Tell us a bit about yourself and what you're playing.
Sure, no problem. As Michael said, my name is Dustin. I also go by the Arbitrary Nerd, and I am the game master and kind of showrunner for the channel Never Split the Party on Twitch. We play Starfinder right now every Tuesday at 8:30 p.m. EST, which means it's 6:46 in the morning for me, EST, because that's how time zones work. Right now, Twitch is where our focus is. You can catch us on YouTube. We do an audio podcast of the show, and we're on Twitter. But I'm sure Michael will help us out in the show notes or some such, so I won't go through that whole spiel.
Cool. And what will you be playing today, Justin?
Yep, you wanted that one, didn't you?
A little.
I am playing Grim, the half-orc paladin of Gordek.
Sweet. All right, and next up to, I think, my right is Mr. Tarrasque himself. G'day, mate.
Hello. Hello. I'm Mr. Tarrasque. I run a YouTube channel on where I review all kinds of Dungeons & Dragons modules, classic, modern, third-party Dungeons & Dragons modules. And somehow, since I've been doing that, I ran into these guys, and they convinced me to try to play a game of Pathfinder. This is actually the first game of Pathfinder I will ever play in my life, but since I've been playing Dungeons & Dragons for about 17 years now, I have played a lot of 3.5. And, well, since critting in Pathfinder is way more fun than critting in Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition, I really hope I'm going to roll a crit today. So, yeah, I am playing a female, for the first time in my life, a female dwarven fighter who is really defensive-minded, except for cleave ability, but okay.
And this is, of course, I believe, Kmi is the name of the character?
Kmi, yes.
Yes, yeah. So I'm really excited. Like, lots of firsts there. Hopefully, this being Mr. T's first Pathfinder experience, it will not, of course, be his last. And, of course, to my bottom left, and I feel like to a lot of people's bottom left, is, of course, the ever-present Guy Schlander. There. English, proper, speak, good. I feel like I should know your name by now. Mr. Guy Schlanders. And tell us a bit about yourself, mate.
Hello, everybody. After that botched introduction, yes, I'm Guy from How to Be a Great GM and Bacon RPG. And I've got a YouTube channel on how to improve your game as a game master and as a player, and there's other bits and pieces there. And Michael, of course, the champion of Pathfinder, has lured me back to Pathfinder, which I must admit I do appreciate and almost prefer to 5th edition, but let's not go into that right now. I will be playing the role of Adminicles Theokin, a lawful good, super happy, super bubbly, healing cleric elf. And I'll be joining this magical party of half-orcs and dwarves and other bits and bobs to, well, just make sure that everyone gets exactly what they deserve.
Ouch.
That's awesome. Cool. I can't wait. And, of course, last but certainly not least, to fill out this roster of all-star cast is, of course, my close friend, Sean, who is actually responsible, I think, for most of this cast. So, just under the bus with you. Tell us a bit about yourself, mate.
My name is Sean K. Ortego. I am the creator of Raenor, the Bloodlands campaign setting. currently being worked on by Storm Buddy Studios. Rocking the t-shirt. But yeah, so I've been working on Raenor for going on 10 years now. It's been a bit of a process, but yeah, I'm finally fleshing it out and trying to present it to the world. So I definitely appreciate everybody giving it a go and giving it a trial run. Today I will be playing Khalid Demazar, the human Medician rogue.
Very nice, and of course, you guys know who I am because basically this is being streamed on my page, and if you don't know who I am and you like my page, you're really awesome, right? I mean, I swear to God, like, if you like my page and you don't know who I am, dude, I will send you flowers. Okay, yes, I am Michael from Ask a Pathfinder, and I will be the illustrious GM for this, this hopefully awesome, fun, and amazing game that lies before you. And without any more further ado, let's get straight into it.
Wait, can we do one and do? Can we do one and do?
We can do one and do. What do would you like to do? Yeah, go on.
What's one to do?
How long is this adventure going to last for? Just for those of the audience who are tuning in right now and may have missed that.
Oh yes, that's very true. Sorry, this stream started a little bit later than I would have liked to have hoped, but I'm hoping to get anywhere between 2.5 to 3 hours out of you guys. But of course, we'll try and keep it within, say, the 2.5 hour mark if possible. So, any more questions before we get started? I mean, this is pretty much the time for it. Nope. Cool.
Yeah. What's one to do?
It's like
further ado. So
yeah. Well, technically, it's close to a Xanadu, but a little bit less aberry. Okay. This is gonna be okay. You know what? Yeah, this is gonna be an interesting game. All right, guys. So, Raenor, a distant land ravaged by millennia of war. The warring people and nations have torn this place and those who live upon it apart, seeing the rise and fall of many kingdoms. Nestled in the Eastern Sea is the nation of Kalos, home to a wide variety of human nations, which is where our story begins. The city of Kerrigan has suffered the loss of 13 children, who have been sighted wandering beyond the city limits, guided by a mysterious woman in white. You have been asked by the Adventurers Guild to find out what fate befell these children, and if possible, return with them safely, or with their bodies. You four adventurers find yourselves on the road leading to the Felden Marshes, after having tracked their trail for the better part of 2 or 3 days. The sun beats upon your back, hot and scorched. It kind of feels like your stereotypical Kalos summer as you begin to approach the red horizon of the Felden Marshes. Before you arrive, you decide you will take a few moments to perhaps discuss, perhaps entering the marshlands that lie before you, and check to see if you've got the appropriate equipment.
Yes. Does anyone have any angulint? Because I've got this stuff for your skin. It's great. I mean, you won't burn at all. And in this sun, you've got to protect. You really do. It's not bad. Does anyone want some?
Camille just closes her helmet.
Right.
Protects me from the sun.
Anybody else? No? Doesn't smell too bad. You get used to it. Kind of like fish.
No, I'm falling.
Grim certainly smells the fish, grimaces, and says, "I'll pass."
Suit yourselves, but when you've all got sunburn, don't come crying to me.
Not a problem. We have.
Continuing to move merrily along the path towards the Felden Marshes, and with the stench of what you believe to be fish and chips lingering in the air behind you, you find yourself at the edge of a bright red, swampy marshlands. This area, of course, is the Felden Marshes. A red weed seems to permeate instead of grass as far as the eye could see, and large tall trees with black and red bark that seem to almost weep this blood-stained sap. Tiers of red leaves hang like weeping willows over the canopy that blocks out the sun, giving the inside of the marsh a very gloomy and almost unsettling twilight.
Does anyone know what this is? Edmonocles asks, looking out over the red weed.
It's you looking like a fool with your sunburn, because these things really block out the sun.
You jest, sir, but we shall see who is the color of a beetroot this afternoon. I'm just saying, visor burn, that's all.
Could you be more specific as to your question, maybe?
Yeah, well, it's red. Isn't that odd? Doesn't that strike anyone as odd? I'm not a druid, but
from the swamps, are you?
No. Whatever was your first clue? No, I've spent most of my time actually working with the library, and well, I'm more of a theoretical member of the Guild of Adventurers than anything else. I also help them out with the books, making sure that the numbers balance at the end of every month.
Of course you have. Khalid's going to walk around and look at a sample of the leaf and try and guess what it is.
All right, so moving along the edge of the actual marsh itself and seeing almost like a visceral line between the grasslands of the sort of plain area that you've walked through and the obviously thick red weed, you sort of cautiously take a look at it. It is reasonably well known by travelers that the marshes are in fact red. There are also lots of rumors regarding the creatures there feeding on this this particular foliage and becoming, I suppose, enraged or having a heightened sense of anger and battle prowess. A few people even have come to sort of taking in dares of taking straps of this weed, rubbing it on their gums, and then basically banging their heads against each other. A whole bunch of really dumb stuff that, you know, if YouTube existed, you'd probably see it there. But as far as its origins are concerned, so long has this marshland been here that no one truly knows where it came from or what began this, I suppose, red incursion onto the land. Unless you have knowledge history. Then I can tell you everything.
I actually might have knowledge history because that would be relevant to the character. Nope, I went religion.
Okay.
I tried.
Okay.
So my check would be 23.
Ooh, nice. All right. So with a 23, you've heard and read many books and tomes about the origins of many locales in the area. And one, of course, you suddenly recall, was, of course, the origins of the Felden Marshes. Most of it is around the speculation of the idea that this marsh was created by an emotion. Now, for those of you who you know, sort of exist within Raenor, you are also aware that Raenor is built upon the back, or at least upon the dreams of a sleeping god. This sleeping god is, of course, Caliban. Now, Caliban dreams of mountains. There are mountains. Caliban dreams of the darkest oceans in his sadness, and there are oceans. Some theologists theorize, yes, alliteration. They theorize that the marshlands themselves are a part of the, I suppose, hate-filled or aggressive portions of Caliban's dreams, hence the presence of this very strange weed. However, in history, it was never considered to be always the case. Many have found plenty of evidence that the marshes themselves were, relatively speaking, a new or a developed part of the landscape, since, of course, the creation of Raenor itself.
I don't think any of that's... Oh, wait a minute, sorry. Well, actually, no, I still don't know what those red stuff is, but is it safe to touch, do you think? Anyone want to touch it?
I would advise against it.
Can I do a survival check for that kind of stuff?
Good.
Yes, you can. You can make a survival check in order to basically assess if it's poisonous or not.
I rolled a natural 1.
It is delicious. It apparently looks like basically like a whole field of like the most succulent jalapenos you've ever seen. You know, the spicy meatballs. Beautiful.
I start eating it. Well, sorry, Kmi starts like picking stuff off, cutting it, and then I don't know what happens. What she has to do
that. I would advise against it.
Grim does his best to
but it
slap
smells delicious, and I open my helmet and I go about. Well, I attempt to go about eating it.
Okay, as you place it, yeah, as you place it, trying to sort of put it in your mouth. Grim, you can make me a combat maneuver roll, which is your CMB versus the CMD of course, Kmi, to try and sort of smack it out of his hand.
Sure thing, and I just gotta find my bonus, which isn't where I thought it was. That's fine.
I'm gonna die in the first...
I rolled a natural 20 on the die. I don't know what the bonus is, but it's gonna be pretty high.
That's fine. With a natural 20, you more than make up for it. He sort of smacks the weed out of your hand. You sort of see that your hand is sort of stained with kind of like this sort of a red, watery kind of fluid. Yeah, but that's about it.
Is it burning?
Total
Dude,
for
my
29.
foods.
All right.
That was my foods. I'm trying to pick food here for all of you.
I wouldn't eat anything that you are not familiar with, especially in a swamp tinted red.
I'm going to hand Kmi a ration and say, here, eat this.
Handing you a strip of dried goat. Do you eat it?
Well, I'm actually a vegetarian. I'm sorry, I cannot eat that. No, I'm just kidding, and I just go about it.
Oh yeah, no, it's actually quite delicious, very well salted, very well preserved. You, however, also, as you've arrived here, notice that the trail that you've been following up until this point has seemed to have, well, basically disappeared. Everyone can make me a perception check as they try to find the trail of the missing children.
As I'm doing so, I'd also like to cast Detect Evil.
That's fine. There is no evil in this general vicinity, or at least within 60 foot.
I also glance over my companions because I'm not sure how familiar they are. Get any vibes?
Is anyone particularly evil?
Yeah.
Not particularly.
Nope.
But
nope.
I think it'd be mostly an alignment-based thing. I don't think it would be opinions. Your opinions could be garbage.
You cast Detect Evil. You pick up some cynicism. That's about it.
I'm not being facetious. I actually rolled another 20.
Nice. Okay. So
I picked up a total of a 24 as well. Natural 16.
Oh, actually, I might actually have a negative to perception. No, my perception is +0. I literally just rolled a 20.
All right, so the two of you who basically got over 20, you don't find tracks, but instead you find something very curious. You find a series of scuff marks on the ground. Normally you would think, hey, you know, that doesn't really make any problem, like the wind blows stuff across there all the time, you know, yada, yada, yada. But you also, in turn, find what appears to be a large branch that appears to have been snapped off within the past few days, sort of concealed in some of the shrubbery. This matches the scuff marks, which looks as though someone may possibly have been trying to cover their trail.
I admittedly steps towards Kimmy. Could I?
Kimmy. The name's Kimmy.
Kimmy. I'm so sorry. I can never get the pronunciation right.
It's a dwarven name. No problem. It's a dwarven name.
Yes, well, absolutely. And obviously I have difficulty with dwarvish names, given I am an elf, obviously. But can I look at your hand? Is it stinging? Is it burning? Is it inflamed? There's no blistering where the red juice...
She takes off her gauntlets, like, straps, and then she hands over her hands to you.
Taking hold of the gauntlet... Yep, taking hold of the gauntlet and inspecting it, you can make me a heal check to take a quick gander at the substance.
24.
With the 24, you can tell that it is, for all intents and purposes, simply water. The stain itself is simply a discoloration brought about by the biology of the weeds themselves, but predominantly will have no real effect other than probably taste very nasty.
I told you it was safe.
I'm not sure about safe, but color-wise, yes, it's not going to burn, it's not going to sting. If we refer back to Roderick's guide on adventuring, when entering into a foreign place, and this is definitely foreign, one should adapt and look like the environment so as not to stand out. So now that we know that the red dye is safe, I suggest that we cover ourselves in it.
That's a crazy idea, and I love it.
I shall abstain.
Khalid will not be covering himself in any sort of residue of anything from this swamp.
So let's make it
going to put my cloak up.
All right. Both Khalid, who wants to obviously avoid putting red stuff on his body, and of course Grim, who wants to avoid looking like a very bad Christmas special. Because being
that's not how I want. That's not how Grim wants to be remembered.
No, not at all. Theo and Kmi begin to decorate themselves with portions of the juices that they've placed over them.
Do we still smell fish?
A lot less. More like kind of like an astringent smell. You know, like the smell of like kind of like cut grass sort of thing. All right.
Can you please rub in my back?
Approval.
And I will rub in your back. If you rub in my back. Okay, thank you. So, and I'll just rub in my back. That's the start of a good joke.
I'm sure that there. I'm just following Roderick's guide to adventuring. That's all I'm saying. It's what is written down in that book, and that's the important thing.
That actually feels pretty good.
Version.
Thank you.
I beg your pardon?
I said that must be the abridged version.
Oh, no. I read all 14 volumes. Absolutely. Every single one of the volumes, plus the annotations, as well as the appendices, which I might add, the guild had to order in specifically just so that I could read them. Because apparently no one else has ever got through them.
You hear a strange croaking, groaning, squeaking. I don't even know how to describe that noise, but it's coming from within.
Within the swamp?
Camouflaged.
Grim draws his blade, just as a precautionary measure.
The giant metal-armored dwarf suddenly stands still.
I'm going to, Khalid is going to step into the foliage and attempt to stealth.
All right, you may roll a stealth check. Let me know what you get, and I will take note. Theo, what are you up to?
He is looking out into the swamp, perplexed by the sound, looking at the dwarf, realizing that maybe covering themselves in red is not necessarily the most camouflage available to them. But yes, also backing up to make sure that there are plenty of other heroes in front of him and in between him and the noise.
Very well.
Grim steps in front of the cleric and attempts to ascertain the location of the noise.
Make a survival check for me. And what was the stealth check as well?
The stealth check was a natural 1 plus 12 for a total of 13. I'm going to say, hey guys, I'm going to be hiding over here as loudly as possible as I step into the
13 as well for survival.
13 on a survival. From what you can basically assess, it is coming from deeper within the swamp, maybe 120 foot, 130 foot-ish. But you cannot
Khalid
see.
is going to take this time to announce once again that he is still hiding right here.
Grim looks over his shoulder. Want to go check it out? We're going to have to go in further to find the children anyways.
Oh yeah, the children. Okay, I'm game.
Yes, go for it. Yes, go and find the children. Find the children. I'll follow behind, checking our rear for anything.
All right. Steeling yourself and girding your loins, you continue forward into the marshlands. The soft crunch of the weeds that crack between your underneath your boots as you start to proceed towards both the direction of the noise and the scuff marks that were found earlier on by, of course, Khalid and Grim. As you travel, you find yourself in front of what appears to be the source of the noise, a large bog that is bright red with streaks of murky brown gunk that bubbles and oozes from what appears to be underwater pockets of festering bacteria that's creating this kind of stale, stagnant gas that tickles your nose in an almost a fiery sense. Like you've got like this sort of itch that permeates.
Is this in any way following the path of the slightly covered tracks we encountered previously?
That is correct.
Okay. Do we see any further tracks or anything in terms of, I guess, would we be aware of any threats with the nature of this little bog we've encountered?
You can roll a knowledge local if you wish to as you approach the bog, or perhaps a knowledge nature to identify any hazards, or the whole lot of you could not have those things.
No, I'm without. Grim is without.
Very well. Into the unknown as the adventurers find themselves on the precipice of doom. I mean, what? Doom? What? Okay. The noise seems to be coming from various locations, like all around. But again, you don't know the source. You can't really see anything in particular. You can roll me a perception check, please, as you guys are pretty much taking in the environment around you.
11.
I'm Adminicles is trying to get rid of the gnats that are starting to follow him now as a result of the unguent and the red dye. So I see nothing.
Grim, with his 13, is distracted by the cleric.
Okay.
Khalid gets a 27 and tries to pay closer attention.
Okay.
Camille tries to copy the dance of the elf. Like,
you've learnt the dance. You've learnt. Yeah, you've definitely you've gained proficiency in the dance of the gnat, a ancient and sacred elven dance ritual, that wards off tiny insects. However, it doesn't ward off what Khalid appears to see lurking in the waters nearby. Peering out from the surface of the water is what appears to be a 4-foot-tall humanoid creature with large bulbous eyes that seems to sort of almost glow like a dull torch. Its skin is mottled and white with tiny red veins that seem to run the course of its body. Where its hands and feet are, this kind of like red seems to create these blood-drenched looking claws and webbed feet. As it sort of leans out, it seems to be eyeballing the elf and just smelling the air.
I'm going to inform the two dancing members of the party that they should go dance over there and point them towards the creature that's peering from the bog.
But this is not dancing. No, I was attacked by some gnats or something. What, you want us to go and stand where exactly?
Oh, right over there. And I point in the direction of the creature that happens to be peering out.
Well, okay, how about me and the paladin go check it out, and we leave the healer slightly back. Just something I learned in the military.
With the direction from the rogue, do we notice the creature?
do not.
Oh,
He has,
then I have no tactics.
yeah, he has also mentioned no such creature being in that general vicinity.
Okay.
Admittedly,
So why exactly do you want? So why exactly do you want us to go stand over there?
At this point,
Research purposes.
At this point, from over there, a albino frog person, humanoid thing, about the size of a halfling, wanders out. It sort of looks at you guys with, again, these huge bulbous eyes that just sort of pulse this dull torch light. It sort of has this long frog-like tongue that sort of licks its eyeball almost to like moisten it, and it looks up at you. It looks at the elf.
I got this! I got this! In Thwerp's Peerage, it talks about how to deal with strange creatures.
Is this what the book says to do? Is that
Yes.
there's
If you freeze, they won't notice you.
Grim
as he
Grim sighs, the plate, the heavy armor like shifting and clanking as a large frame exhales its air, and Grim says to the creature, "Hello, do you speak common specifically?
It's a frog.
I've seen stranger things speak."
It looks around, and while it doesn't seem to say anything in particular, well, actually it does. It says one particular phrase in common, and it says, "Fish?" And you see a tongue dart out as quickly as it can, grab hold of the cleric, and its head enlarges. The cleric takes no damage, but you see these 2 feet wiggling out of this giant mouth as we roll initiative.
You are not taking my healer.
All right. So, yes, we're gonna roll straight into initiative. Let us start, of course, with Grim. Where on the initiative board does Grim fall?
18.
18. All right, with an 18. All right, Grim. Next up is, of course, Theo. Where are we? Except for inside the mouth of a giant frog.
7.
7. All
Staying
right.
there for a while.
All right, Kmi.
14.
14. Khalid. Khalid?
Oh, Khalid. Oh, I'm sorry.
Yes, isn't that what I said?
A 16 plus 11.
It's close enough to Kami if you're not paying attention.
Fair enough, fair enough.
Screw it up.
Hindsight, 2020. Okay. And of course, the frog gets a glorious 2. So, of course, Grim, you are the first to react to the sight of your cleric disappearing into the maw of this shiny amphibian enemy. What do you do?
Not as well read as his compatriot Adminicles. He does remember at least how to deal with threatening creatures. How far away am I?
You are approximately 10 foot away from the frog, yes.
I'm going to attempt to close the distance. I've got 20 feet of movement speed from a side if I can, where I'm not approaching it from its mouth. And I'm just going to strike at it with the longsword. The first action of diplomacy being to eat the cleric makes the following response pretty easy to ascertain on my part.
All right.
Watch out! Don't hit the cleric! Don't hit the cleric!
All right, so sword in hand, Grim lunges forward at the giant creature. Oh, sorry, the tiny creature, really. It's got a giant head now.
Yes.
But yes, leaping forth with his longsword.
It's a 15 to hit.
With a 15 to hit, that will sadly... Oh, wait, no, because he's flat-footed. No, yeah, because he's flat-footed and has a giant person in his head, in his mouth, has severely affected the mobility of this creature, allowing your sword to sink deep into the creature's chest. Deal your damage.
That's going to be 11 points of slashing damage.
Ooh, very nice. All right. The creature, severely wounded, bleeds this this kind of transparent ichor that lands on the ground. And as it does so, you notice something very peculiar. The blood that seems to seep from the wound is really bright, like crazy bright, like almost like brighter than a lantern. All right, next up we go to 16, Khalid.
Khalid is going to flank from the other side and attempt to pierce it with his rapier.
Okay, moving into a flanking position with Grim, Khalid lunging with the thrust of his rapier.
I get a total of 20, a natural 12 plus 8.
Yep, manages to plunge it deep within, also avoiding striking the head to obviously avoid unnecessarily impacting the squirming cleric within.
I have a total of 9 damage.
Okay, with a 9. Okay, cool. So 9 points of damage. The creature falls to the ground, crumpling. Its mouth opens, and covered in this very thin veil of slimy ichor, pours out.
Maybe cool it on the unguent next time.
All of a sudden, from around you, a cacophony. As 6 more appear. These ones slightly different. Unlike the white-skinned one, these ones appear to have mottled patterns over their bodies. Now I'm going to say this because none of you have knowledge of nature. You killed the swamp's only female. Enjoy! As we continue initiative with the fighter. Now they have surrounded you in almost a circular pattern, with 3 of them being up against the tree line, and another 3 of them being in the actual waters itself, sort of emerging from the murky depths. Both of which are roughly 10 foot away from you in any direction.
Okay, so I can reach them, right? I will walk over to the ones not in the water, because swimming is not my best ability.
Okay.
In heavy plate. And I would like to attempt a cleave attack on 2 of them.
Okay, you may most certainly make a cleave attack on 2 of them, as you step over the weeds and the brush into where you can get into a nice cleaving arc with these froggy creatures.
I rolled an 18 on my first attack.
Oh yeah, that'll totally hit.
Okay, and then damage. Ooh, I rolled an 8 on my d8. What can I add to it?
You add your strength, and if you use
Just my strength.
it's on your sheet. I don't know. I don't have that.
Yeah. Okay, so that's 10 damage then.
10 damage. All right, cool.
And then I can attack again, right?
No, because only if you wanted to use the axe and the shield, you can do 2-weapon fighting, but that'd be a full round action.
No, but with cleave.
Oh, sorry. Yeah. Right. Sorry, my bad.
Okay.
Yes.
So I attack the other one.
Yep. So now you make an attack with the other one,
which is a 17.
That'll hit.
2 hits. Yeah. I rolled another 8. I'm not bullshitting. Oh.
Okay.
No swearing. I'm not kidding. 10 damage again. So I do 10 damage to both. Yeah.
All right. So
your strength modifier is only +2?
Yeah, I put everything in Constitution.
Oh, gotcha. All right, we both went tank.
I am a strong female.
Okay.
Okay. Swinging his mighty battle axe, literally in an arc, striking both these creatures. They're both still up, but both grievously wounded as more of that bright ichor pours from the slash mark in their gut. We then move to, of course, Theo, who is, you're not prone. I'll say that you sort of got spat out and you're sort of upright, but just covered in.
No, wait. Hildegard wrote about this.
And that's the end of your turn.
All right, very well. Actually, you know what? For the roleplay aspect of it, I will give you a untrained knowledge roll. If you would roll me that and add your intelligence to it. You kind of postulate, remember, you were trying to remember something being told to you specifically about these creatures.
16.
With a 16, you remember these things were actually in some of the books that you've read, and they're called Blindheim. The Blindheim are obviously these giant frogs who have one notable and very special ability. And that is, of course, that they normally live underground. They only rise up to the surface to breed in shallow pools. But they also have the ability to emit a 30 cone of bright light, blinding their victims before dragging them into water to drown.
Oh god, I remember!
Flash!
Hildegard's Guide to Girls, Gods, and Gargantuans speaks about Blindheim. Everybody close your eyes, they're gonna blind us with light before they drag us down and slowly eat us. Oh, God, why did it have to be these ones?
Alright. In the frantic fray, the Blindheim flash their bright light. Because of the warning that has been shouted to you, I will give everyone a +2 bonus to their fortitude save to resist the effects of the sudden and very, very prudent flash. So, fort saves from everyone.
Oh, there it is. Yes. 13. Oh, sorry, I'm just saying out loud. Sorry.
You're okay.
11. Oh, no, sorry, that's terrible math. 14.
With the warning in tow, you managed to narrowly avoid the bright light.
Get my shield up in front of it.
I'm just fighting enemies with my eyes closed, like doing cleave.
Was that a 13, Khalid?
Yes.
Thanks for the tip.
And, of course, Theo?
Oh, I got 22.
22. All right. Thankfully, through the quick actions of your cleric, you managed to act prepared, and the flashes that suddenly surround you from all angles seem to have no adverse effect on your adventuring party. One of the Blindhelm, one of the ones that was injured, of course, by Camille, jumps forward and attempts to scratch using its kind of webbed clawed hands.
Bring it on.
20 to hit.
You miss.
As it hits and scratches your lovely shiny armor, it deals no permanent damage to you whatsoever. And the rest have obviously expended their flashes to try and, well, basically get you to fumble, but they only really got one shot at it before you were all covering your eyes. So, all right. Well, that brings us back to the top of initiative, where we're back to Grim.
All right, so we're surrounded. We've got 3 in the water, 3 on the other side. We've got Camille the dwarf engaging the ones on the thickets and the bushes, and then that means there's 3 in the water, which would be the opposite side. Where are the other 2, the cleric and the rogue? That would be Khalid and Amenicles.
Khalid and Amenicles are standing next to the body of one of the fallen ones. It's a little bit further ahead of you, so about 15 foot along the bank, so neither towards nor away from the water. So you'd need to just go a little bit further to get up to where they are.
Not looking to get near them. I wanted to see if I was useful to shield them in such a way that they wouldn't be attacked by the water. I'm going to say, or rather, Grim's going to say, stay clear of the water. We'll deal with them after. And I'm actually going to go to the side with the Camille, and I'm going to attack one of the ones that she's already injured. Ideally, the one that looks the most haggard.
Okay. They both look equally haggard. Camille is many things, chief among it, apparently very symmetrical when it comes to her attacks, and both are definitely equally injured at this point. So it's dealer's choice as to which one you wish to hit.
Whatever one's on the end.
All right, you hit the one on the end.
And that's going to be well, maybe I don't. 14 to hit.
Oh, with a 14, the blind helm hops out of the way and seems to sort of take a personal interest in Grim.
And that'll be it for Grim.
Sweet as. All right, we'll move on to Khalid. Khalid, you are standing next to the corpse of the skewered Blindheim that you are standing next to.
Is there another Blindheim that I can flank that's relatively close to me and score an attack on?
Yes, but you would need to double move in order to reach the one Blindheim that Kami is flanking. Technically speaking, Theo, do you have a weapon out? Theo?
Clear.
I do not.
He does not. Okay. Because he doesn't have a weapon out, you can't flank the one in the water, though I highly wouldn't recommend that one.
Okay, so I'm going to double move to the one that Kami last struck.
Okay. This is not the one that Grim is standing next to either, just to be clear. So there is one that... so two Kami is struck. One is next to Grim, and one is being flanked with Kami and Khalid. Alright. Moving right along, we then go straight to Kami herself. Before you, again, the two
just
injured Blindheim.
just a little rules question. I think I have one more AC than I said I had because I have shield focus, and I didn't take that in account.
Very well.
Is that
You have
correct?
22 AC.
Okay, sorry. Okay, yeah. I'm new to Pathfinder. I'm sorry. I was just checking my my stuff.
It's fine. Let me
yeah,
just give me a second. CR +4. Just done that. Okay, cool. Yep, carry on.
Okay. Adult red dragon. Okay, I will try and attempt to cleave the other.
There is no try, only do.
Do I get a plus because I'm flanking or something?
You do. Because you are flanking with the rogue, if you strike at that one, you will receive a +2 bonus to your attack when you swing.
I will do that. And I rolled then a 24 total.
That will most certainly strike these squishy, fluffy things.
Gives me 9 points of damage, and then I will roll my second cleave attack. Giving me a 20. Wow. I'm rolling good. Which gives me 8 points of damage.
Okay. That one just falls to the ground, crumples under the sheer weight of your battle axe. All right. So as that one falls to the wayside, we then go to, of course, Theo, who's back in action.
I've got this! Don't worry, don't panic, everybody! I call upon the great power of my God Supreme. Give us insight and deliver us from this frog menace thing. Bring forth the constricted snake! I summon with magical powers. Adminicles calls upon his god and casts monster summoning 2 and brings into being a constrictor snake. A giant serpent rears up. Snakes hunt frogs.
Why did it have to be snakes?
Well, because probably they believe that the habitat snakes catch frogs. A rhinoceros would have been silly.
With the truthful words of Theo ringing in your ear, you now have the presence of a giant constrictor snake. Could you roll me a intimidate check with a +10 bonus, please, Theo? As the snake is indeed one of the primary predators of these creatures.
Not natural 20.
Okay. So you're not natural 20. Well, quite frankly, all the blind helm stop for a moment, and they're like, look, you know, we just wanted to, like, you know, have a bit of fun. You killed our female. But, you know, I don't think this is worth all this. So for the blind helm, they begin to retreat.
Yes.
And yes, they will indeed try to hop away. Now, this will provoke attacks of opportunity from the following people. Khalid, Kmi, Grim. You will eat there's basically 2 blind helm between the 3 of you that will pass through your attack of opportunity, allowing you a free attack to strike at them.
I won't strike at them because they're retreating.
Grim also abstains.
Khalid will strike at them. Natural 20.
Oh yeah. In fact, roll to confirm that.
17.
17. All right, you managed to confirm your critical hit, and just for fun, because why not? This is a one-shot. I'm going to be pulling out my, of course, critical hit deck. So I'm just going to shuffle this really super quickly, and I'm just going to throw cards down. You just tell me when you want me to stop. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, anytime. Okay, that card there. All right, with a piercing weapon, pinhole, double damage, and you make the target bleed, and it will continue to bleed until healed. As you have struck it, you have hit an artery, and the artery gushes forth. Because apparently swearing is bad, but violence, PG, gushes
We have the
forth.
same rules on our channel. Yep.
Blood gushes forth from this frog creature as it slumps lifelessly to the ground, and you watch the lights in its eyes die out like fluorescence, like they. All right.
I guess they ain't about that life.
That was unnecessary, human.
Be gone.
All right. They hop out away, and you are out of initiative.
I would like to go up to the paladin and whisper in his ear, like, and point towards the elf, like, this guy actually did it. He actually did something. And then I start dancing again with him.
You make a good point. I put like a travel cloth that I have in my bag, mostly for keeping my armor clean. But I offer it to the elf. To get the viscera and slime of the frog's mouth off.
Thank you.
I ask you if I can help you with that, and then I take the claws and I go, and then I start scrubbing it up. That's dwarven way. That's clean.
Thank you so very much. I really appreciate dwarven culture.
No problem.
While he's saying this,
Spotless.
while he's saying this and getting a spit shine, Khalid, what are you up to?
I'm going to investigate the frog that I just downed and see if there's anything on its corpse that may be of use.
You pick up the tiny frog. You could probably get some good meat out of him, but you're not entirely sure if it's, entirely sanitary.
Then I'm going to take its eyeballs.
All right, you take out its eyeballs, ripping them out. You have these 2 giant orbs. You are now covered in this sort of glowing, iridescent blood as you've scavenged the corpse of one of these things.
Grim recommends you wash that off. We've already attracted predators from one smelly member of our troop.
One of them smells, one of them's loud, the other one glows.
You stand out as well, which I don't believe is your preference.
I'm going to take out a flask of water and rinse off my hands, and not use the water from the bog, of course, but clean off the glowing ichor. That way I am no longer a beacon of light in the overgrown swampland.
All right, taking out your flask, you begin to pour it over your body. The blood slowly but surely washes away. As it does so, could I get another perception check from everybody, please?
Just a 10 from Grim.
12.
Natural 1.
9.
Yes, exactly.
All right. Well.
Did the frogs all leave in one direction?
They did. They all entered the bog.
Oh, gotcha. They just, okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, they basically just returned to the bog and just went, no. However, unbeknownst to you, you are very quickly and very suddenly surrounded. As 6 very large, hulking reptilian creatures brandishing gnarled roots that seem to be jutting out, barbed and pointed, seem to be all pointing at you. One of them, a rather large individual who appears to have the lower jaw of a crocodile used as this kind of like bone plating armor for the front with its teeth pointed forward, looks at you. Their scales are bright and red, and these large protruding spikes run backwards, almost like spines that are dreadlocks down the back. This large creature seems to be trying to stand still, but all of them, despite, being still, seem to be twitching and... They seem to, however, just be kind of squaring off with everyone.
Pink flesh in swamplands. Invasion will fail.
Grim steps in front of the party as best he can, depending on their location, and says, "Not all pink flesh, and we do not come for an invasion. Very, very briefly, we are looking for missing children."
They all seem to sort of bark and snap when you mention the missing children. The large one turns to face them and basically bellows at them. The others seem to basically back off a little bit. The big one sort of turns to you. Now, as you say this, could I get you to also roll me a diplomacy check?
That is not a problem. If I'm not wrong, that's a 22, but let me quickly check. I think I got a plus 11 on diplomacy. Yeah, plus 11, so that's 22. And as I do so,
Plus a 22.
I sheathe my sword as well. Yeah, I'm gonna actually try to appear as unthreatening as possible.
Okay, and what about the rest of you? Let's start, of course, with Kimi. What are you doing?
Battle axe. I've got a shield and a battle axe, and I'm just standing there. Oh crap! Oh crap! Yeah.
Okay, Khalid.
That's what I do.
Khalid is going to basically point his rapier in the dirt and place his other hand up to appear as non-threatening as possible, but still being defensive in nature.
Okay, and Theo?
Admittedly, once he realized the freezing thing wasn't going to work again, pulled out of a side pouch a notebook which is filled with different pages and all kinds of annotations and things, and he's busy frantically paging through it, looking for some journal entry or other. But other than that, he doesn't seem too phased.
All right.
Check your Pokédex.
Again, roll me another knowledge check. You receive a +2 bonus on your intelligence check for this.
Knowledge what?
Knowledge nature, but again, I will allow you to.
Knowledge, he's throwing you a bone.
Knowledge, it's a one-shot, and he actually has a library with him.
Right. 16.
16. Okay, with a 16, you definitely have heard of these lizard tribes before. There are many different tribes that exist, obviously, in the world. These ones are obviously of the red scale tribe. They're not very creative when it comes to naming themselves, but they're a very, very unique type of race, as they are considered to be cannibals. Having acquired particular flavors of flesh that they most enjoy, among which, of course, are dwarf and elf.
Admittedly, quietly puts the book away. And then very slowly, just about to take half a step back, and then another step back. Just little.
I'm going to put my hand on the shoulder of the elf and whisper into his ear. You do realize we're surrounded, right?
I do now. Thank you.
Elves and dwarves.
All right. The one at the front says,
You, big flesh, will follow. Follow.
Can I? Do I have enough to go off of to sense motive?
Absolutely.
Sense motive, they're going to eat you.
That's not my strong suit, unfortunately. But that's a natural 11, which means my score's a 10.
Well, as far as you're concerned, these people are incredibly trustworthy. They haven't attacked you yet, and with their disposition, chances are they would never lead you into an ambush.
Can Khalid also attempt to sense motive? Do I get any inkling feeling?
You may also roll a sense. In fact, everyone roll a sense motive because I feel like that's.
Can I skip that one and just don't trust him?
Oh, absolutely. you can absolutely do that.
Okay.
I got a 25.
From what rumors you know, obviously, the creatures that exist here are known for their aggression, but these ones in particular seem to be applying quite a deal of restraint compared to what you would imagine, or at least kind of what you'd think creatures from this area of the world would be like. While you wouldn't trust them because they are still very armed and still everything that they are, you kind of get the sense that you may not necessarily be in any immediate danger, but that could very swiftly change.
All right.
Ignoring his actual party behind him, Grim, using his shield arm, just waves the party on and moves to follow the... now, these are a type of lizard folk, correct?
Correct.
Okay, yeah, he moves to follow the lizard folk. Does not look back for ascent, and he does not concern himself with the party, actually.
All right. The large one at the front turns and begins to lead you into the swamp. The other ones sort of, from a circular formation, move around to the back of you almost, like, again, still keeping a sort of semicircle with their tips of their spears pointed at you to kind of push you forward in the direction that they're going. Does anyone resist?
Well, it seems like we don't have much of a choice. So I'm going to, still keeping my rapier out and at the ready, continue forward.
Okay.
I'm not dropping my shield.
Yep.
And battle axe.
Yep, you keep your shield and battle axe up. You're kind of keeping an eye over your shoulder as you walk to make sure that they're not getting too close. And of course, Admeticles?
I whisper in Old Dwarven to Kmi. You understand that they eat our kind, right?
That's just Scottish. That's not Old Wolf.
We all know that's the same.
You've just put on a funny voice. Wow.
I'm not used to speaking other languages.
Well, I hear him do this, and every time one of those spears or whatever comes a little bit too close, I just push it with my shield and it's like, no. Just like Gimli in the first Lord of the Rings.
They give you a fair berth. It's more that they're there in case you decide to stop for an inordinate amount of time or try to ambush them. They give you about maybe a 5 foot.
Okay, and then I whisper back, or I just tell them loudly, because I don't expect those guys to speak Dwarven anyway. So I just tell them loudly, like, yeah, if you're ready to attack, I'm ready to attack. Just do something. You're the cleric. You can cast spells. Just make something explode or something.
That's a wizard, not a cleric.
Heal them till they die or something. I don't know.
Well, the other two seem to be perfectly fine going along with this plan, so just stay frosty.
With the reminder of cold beer in your head, the two at the front can obviously hear these two chattering in Dwarven behind them. Is there anything you'd like to say, do?
Very much trying to call as much of like the monk shh as he can. He calls back to his childhood, reaches back and shushes them, not understanding a thing they're saying, just sick of the noise.
I'm going to mention to the orc, in Orcish, of course, these two are going to get us in some trouble if they don't stop.
Oh yeah, we are the ones going with okay.
Well, with party bonds never having been stronger, the group continues to travel through the Crimson Swamplands until eventually they come to what appears to be a series of very tall trees. The unique part of these tall trees is in fact their unique pine-like leaves that appear to be giant needles. They are razor sharp, and you can see them on the floor as well as a few very tiny squirrels that appear to have been impaled by simply a shaken branch, creating this very macabre-looking, almost Vlad the Impaler borders of Transylvania type field, except with tiny woodland creatures. A small path being carved between it by the feet of the lizard folk in front, whose thick scales seem to be impervious to the tiny, vicious needles.
I do my best to, keep my shield in between me and any of the needles, and I've got my full plate armor, so I'm not overly worried by the nature. I would like to see if I can see maybe where they're leading us, if there's a direction we're keeping, if they're leading us in circles, just to get a sense of where we are.
You can. Further up ahead, you actually also notice a small hut in an area underneath the trees. The roof itself seems to have obviously been skewered from many locations by the leaves above, but it seems to have created an almost porcupine hive-looking abode with what appears to be a humanoid figure sweeping the front of this house.
Is it a woman in white by any chance?
It is not. In fact, it appears to be an elven individual.
I look over at the cleric, our elf, and I just kind of, not too loud, but not whispering per se. Do you want to take this one?
Don't take that too literally.
Never take someone without permission first.
For the second time, Grim sighs and his full plate mail clanking with the exhale of breath, and he steps forward, used to being the face of the party more often than not. And what are the lizard folk doing as he kind of steps closer? He wants to make sure he's not making any faux pas if possible.
No, not at all. The lizard folk are just leading you towards them. Obviously, I imagine Kimmy's still got her axe. Her arm's a bit tired, because you've been walking for about half an hour now. It's just like, okay. And then you've got the guy with the rapier who's also got his rapier out, but at this point, again, sort of by his side, just at the ready, as it were. But there is no particular faux pas. As they approach the elven person, which appears to be a man, steps forth and calls out to the lizards, saying, Ragnar, what, traders again?
No. Pink fleshes say looking for missing children.
Oh my. Well, yes, you better bring them inside. Please, this way. You must be confused. My name is Pylisin.
I am Grim, a paladin of Gordek, and your friend speaks true. We are in search of the missing children.
And confused.
Yes, I'm sure. I'm sure that is the case. Ragnar, we were just going to go speak for a moment. Please, I'll have your medicine in a moment. Just be patient, please. And he sort of wanders over by the other lizard folk, who begin to basically just start shoving each other into the needles.
What was the elf's name again?
Pilencyn. Pilenices. Oh, Pilens. I should. Pilecine is how you pronounce it. Yeah.
Oh, sure.
As he invites you in, you find yourself inside a rather humble-looking shack. It is filled with a pleasant smell, as well as various herbs and leaves and plants and other little bits and bobs one would expect to find in an apothecary or herbologist's house.
Grim looks at the rogue and just gives a small shake of his head. Don't know if that's communicated, but he'll let it go.
I like what you did with the place.
Oh, thank you very much. I've put quite a deal of time and effort into my abode.
Very nice.
I've been here for quite some time, you see, and well, this is the first time I've really had guests to entertain for quite some time. Can I offer you some tea, perhaps, or some biscuits, maybe?
Sure. Yeah.
Good.
I will abstain. I've got my own sustenance.
Oh, yeah, yes, quite. He'll wander over and he puts the kettle on and brings out a small tray of chocolate biscuits.
I will take his portion, if that's okay.
Oh, by all means, please, help yourselves. Now...
We are on a bit of a time-sensitive quest, if you don't mind.
Oh, well, if you're looking for missing children here, I'm afraid the time-sensitive nature of your quest may possibly be in naught. If you've lost children in the Felden Marshes, well, I'm sorry to say they're probably dead.
That is one outcome that I personally hope to not find. But we are more looking for a specific set of missing children associated in some way, and I'm not sure which, with a woman dressed in white. Does this make any sense to you?
Sadly, no. But I see that you are trying to do the right thing, and I can relate to this. I came here myself for my own noble causes, and I don't really wish to turn you away or dissuade you, but I look, Ragnar and his tribe, for example. I've taken many years working with them, helping them contend with the adverse effects of living in the Felden Marshes, but him and his tribe are not singular to this. It's something about this place. It makes people amenable to rather hostile thoughts, and for someone as young as children, not only are they extremely susceptible, but there are plenty of creatures who make short work of such tiny creatures that cannot defend themselves.
Even so, I will not be dismayed. If you have are there any other dwellers such as yourself that we could maybe converse with? We've already encountered some of the locals in a less friendly manner.
Yes, he sort of pours out some tea as he sort of thinks to himself. Roll a diplomacy check, please. Now, while he is conversing, you guys are still obviously within the area. You guys can interact with him or his belongings, or even ask him questions. Let us, of course, start with Adminicles. Adminicles, what are you doing during the course of this conversation?
Looking at the various herbs and flora and fauna that he's got stashed about the place, is there any way that I can get a sense of his general collection purpose? Has he collected things that are more poisonous or more intoxicating? Perhaps there are sections for healing, sections for hallucinogenics, that sort of thing.
A lot of the samples have come from the marsh itself, and they seem to be in various states of study. Some of them have been placed in beakers with various liquids and fluids, with dates and times placed on them. Some dating as far back as 20, 30 years. And obviously the actual foliage that is collected in these like little experimental places seem to be in varying states of, you know, some of them are brighter red, some of them have turned blue, some of them have grown special fungus. You can also see that there are a large deal of medicinal herbs as well that seem to be scattered around the place, as well as a variety of what appear to be tree roots that are not dyed red.
In which case, I switch to Elvish, just in case that helps me get a better reading of him. If I might be so bold, you've clearly read Wethren's treatise on phylozoology. I noticed the indexing straight away. But you mentioned that you had a well, you said you were helping the lizard folk fellows. You had their medicine. Can you tell me a little bit more about that? What is that exactly?
Oh, well, of course I can, but you are aware that you're not speaking Elvish, you're just speaking in the British accent.
You know, it's so funny. My Elvish teacher said to me that I wasn't speaking Elvish, just in a funny accent. And I didn't believe in that, and I didn't believe in that either.
Oh, well, I'm Mo, and he is responding in Elven. He says, yes, well, when I first arrived here, I was actually in a rather large group of explorers who had come here to research the properties and unique herbological effects of the foliage and fauna here in the Felden Marches. But alas, many of us were, well, succumbed to the creatures of this particular area. In fact, our team leader was killed by Ragnar himself. He quite delights in reminding me every once in a while how delicious his ears tasted. Which, you know, I've come to kind of expect. He's, you know, like I said, he's really a large Doberman-esque kind of creature when you get to know him. But I managed to conjure a rudimentary suppressant that helps them deal, or at least gives them the capacity to suppress their rather violent urges. But they do require it 3 times a day, which keeps me rather busy. Well, places them in my only means of acquiring research material. But, your friend, what do you make of him? The half-orc?
I don't quite follow in terms of what I make of him. He belongs to the Adventurers Guild. He is here on a legitimate quest, absolutely.
Well, is he going to... I mean, will he throw his life away? I mean, that's hardly what I desire. I mean, I don't want you guys to be wandering into the wilderness to meet your doom if... I mean, is he the sort of person that would put life above his... duty above his life?
I don't know the fellow particularly well, but if I'm any judge of character, I suspect that he has committed himself to finding these children, and although I have to concur with your conclusion that they are most likely being consumed by some rather grisly creature that is contained herein, I suspect he's going to continue on, which would then press me to ask you, would you share your concoction for suppressing violence and anger, so that I might take it with me should my companions develop violent tendencies? I might lather them with it.
Oh, well, certainly. In fact, you have a dose of it in front of you right now. The tea that I brew is also rich in the antioxidants that's required to fend off the disease. It's one of the reasons why I drink it almost daily. Stains your teeth and your urine like there is no tomorrow, but it does seem to do the trick in keeping one's lucidity.
Somehow I suspect the dwarf is going to rather appreciate that fact.
All right, moving on to Khalid.
I hear them speaking in Elvish. I'm going to try and get a sense of the surroundings and knowing naturally that elves carry themselves in kingdoms as far as where they reside and whatnot. I'm going to inquire as to what kingdom he belongs to, or elfdom, if you were.
Well, one does not simply reveal one's elfdom to complete strangers, but it has been quite a while since I have been to my homelands. I actually hail from the deserts, you see, and well, it's kind of hard to be a herbologist in such a barren and arid wasteland. But I found my calling and went overseas and met a few other scholars who studied in the local area. But yes, I found that this rather strange and endearing place has very quickly become my home.
Very interesting that you consider this place endearing, as that is not how I would describe it.
Ah, well,
Now,
I'm sure if you've spent the better part of 3 decades here, you'll perhaps have a different perspective.
I do not intend to be here that long. Hopefully, we will find the children, either dead or alive, and be on our way.
Hopefully alive.
All right, and by the way, did you like that dodge there, Sean?
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah, all right. All right, Mr. T, what does Kmi bring to the table?
Well, Kmi started off by tactically positioning herself like she has her shield to her left, but put in a way that she can grab it immediately should it come to a fight or something. And then with her left hand, she was picking food and tea and stuff like that. And with her right hand, she had her right hand resting on her battle axe. So she does everything with her left hand at first. So she has her hand on her battle axe, being all suspicious, but then she starts drinking from the tea, and like 5 minutes later, she's sitting there. Like this. Like,
It is actually quite delicious.
Such a great place. It's such a great place. And she's like the most not hostile that she has ever been in her life right now because of the magic juice.
Excellent.
And she doesn't know it has that effect because she doesn't speak Elvish. So it's just like, no.
Excellent. Excellent.
So in 5 minutes, she goes from hostile to all friendly.
Seeing obviously that the dwarf has basically inhaled the majority of the snacks, she brings out an assortment of salted fried nuts and places them, in front of, more stuff to eat. And she turns to Grim at this point and says, he turns to Grim at this point and says, right, well, okay, listen, I don't mean to give you any hope for this because, quite frankly, I dislike the idea of, obviously turning one's attention to the possibility of hope when there may possibly be none. I will tell you this, however. There is one place that very few hostile creatures in this area go. And that is a small and hidden area that is forbidden even among the reptiles here. There's rumors of a temple that may possibly act as a safe haven should this woman in white that you seek be having anything set up here in the marshes. I mean, I don't really foresee a woman in white hanging around in a place which dyes everything red, but...
No, absolutely. I was thinking exactly the same thing. It's absolutely... Well, I mean, if you're wandering around in white in this environment, you have to have some kind of stone or rocky structure. That's where it is. Grim, we've got to go there.
But I do have another request for you, if you wouldn't mind, of course. I will give you each a dose of my my inhibitor, the tea, as it were, and in return, all I require is a tiny vial of any water or fluids you might find at this site. You see, as I mentioned, the lizard folk here do not venture into that area. They believe it to be cursed or whatever have you. And so with them being the only people that go and retrieve samples, it is rather difficult to get any that might be of worth from the area. But I can learn a lot from the water if you were to acquire some for me.
Yay, free refills.
Happy to help. I will take a sample if you have some way for me to travel with it, but I do not intend to consume it. I have faith in my god, as it were. However,
Faith don't taste as good as it.
I didn't come to drink tea, dwarf. I wanted to thank you for the information, and fear not, I did not venture into this swamp looking for hope. I came looking for answers. As I say this, and kind of like let the party also speak, can I cast Detect Evil?
Absolutely. He is not evil.
That's good.
Some of the stuff in his vials are evil. You see what
doesn't
appears to be this tadpole that seems to be looking at you.
Great. Nope, that's fine.
Like,
It's just...
It's like looking at you like the, you know, the dramatic gopher, the... Yeah.
As the half-orc, as the half-orc says whatever he's here for, he didn't come for hope. I'm going to chime in. I came for gold. And with that,
oh, well, if
I'm
you...
going to go ahead and take my leave and step outside.
Oh, okay. He puts away the bag of gold he was about to offer you.
Oh.
I will grab the vials from Pilicine.
Okay.
That request seems totally fine.
Cool. Excellent, excellent. All right. So gathering up your belongings, you venture forth unless someone has further business with Pilicine.
I have one more question. So this drink you're giving us, is it absolutely necessary that we warm it? Do we have to drink it hot? Or...
Oh, you can chew the leaves, but it leaves rather a nasty, bitter taste. I found that eventually brewing it as a tea was simply a more delicious way of consuming it.
Thank you.
It's quite all right. Safe travels, friends, and I will be here should you require any kind of assistance. Well, my skills and speciality are that of a... how do I put it? Is anyone injured? No, I think you guys are like unscathed thus far. He says my skills are that of a healer of the soul, as it were. And if you require it, I will be here to help.
Thank you kindly, Pilicine.
All right. You take your leave and begin to make your way towards the outer limit, realizing very quickly that Pilicine hadn't told you where the temple was. But the lizard folk very quickly look to Pilicine and nod and face you and tell you to follow them. Now, this journey will take you the better part of an hour. You have a chance, if you wish to discuss among yourselves the evolution of events, talk to the lizard folk themselves, or prepare any buffs, skills, or things you would like to do before we get into the final chapter of this adventure. As
we approach the temple, I should probably look into... there we go. The last... I'm trying to see how long the last is going to last. Only 5 minutes. When we approach the temple, or when we see the temple, I would like to, at that moment, cast Bless on the party, which will fill my allies with courage, and they gain a +1 morale bonus on attack rolls and saving throws, specifically against fear effects with the saving throw.
Okay.
I would like to have a look at some of those leaves that he gave us and see, as we're going, whether we pass any bushes. By the sheer quantity that he needs, I'm assuming it's going to be a fairly common plant. So medically, he's looking out for that. He does turn to the rest of the party, still very, very nervous of these lizard folk. He's not convinced that they are absolutely under Pylocene's control, it strikes me that, as he said, if the swamp causes this malevolence to manifest itself, and specifically to manifest itself in the young of creatures, that those children might have come under the influence of that. And so perhaps if we went in with more of this tea, we could give it to the children to calm them down, if anything. I don't have much experience with children. I did read about them in Bagel's Index of Horrendous Deaths, but aside from that, I don't really know too much about children or how to deal with them. So if we give them this thing that'll calm them down, it might make a bit more sense.
But if they are being aggressive, handing them over a drink is not going to help because they're not going to drink it.
It's okay. I have lots and lots of rope. We can simply tie them up.
Or you can do what he says.
Just to let you know, the dose that you have is the basically the dried form. If you were to create a tea, you would actually get quite a few doses out of it, and plenty enough for at least the children further ahead.
Sounds fair.
But how are we going to give it to them? We're going to tie them up and then what?
Super
We'll worry
Stoker.
about that when we find them.
Okay.
Also, Grim, he didn't mention to whom the temple was dedicated, did he?
No, and I did not think to ask. However, I may know when I see it. I have studied these things.
I'm going to inquire with Ragnarok as we're walking. I'm going to ask him about
It's
the temple.
Ragnar.
Oh, excuse me, Ragnor. Ragnar, so why do your people not go to this area? I know that you believe it to be cursed, but where does that idea come from?
Long time ago, father upon fathers entered the forest, came out with skin of red, ate his tribe, feasted on his children. Children since then, filled with rage. Wasn't until soft knife-eared came with medicine. Red Scale reclaiming self. Red Scale not want be controlled by anything, even stupid plants. Place where
I'll
father.
have to write to Thwerp. I'll have to write to him and tell him to update his manual. It's good stuff. I mean, it's fantastic. I mean, all we knew that they were cannibals. I mean, and clearly they're a lot more tragic, really.
We call it the place of red death. No lizard creature ever goes near.
Interesting. And that is where we seek to go. Hopefully, the same does not happen to us.
Let's stay close together, just in case.
Perhaps we should drink some more of that tea before we get, as a booster, bolster.
At this time, despite having faith in his god, Grim agrees and will take a small portion of the tea. Or leave if we have to chew leaves at this point. That's fine too.
Well, Camille's stomach is hurting from drinking that much tea earlier, so.
Okay. And Khalid, are you partaking?
I'm going to take some of the leaf and I'm going to pack it in my gum. I'm not going to drink tea.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. All right. Cool. All right, so you continue to travel until eventually you come to what appears to be almost a wall of blood-red mist that hangs in the air. It sort of lingers like a cloud, but at the same time seems to be moving and shifting with the wind, but never beyond what seems to be an invisible wall that seems to rebuff the mist itself. Ragnar turns and tells you that he will follow you no further, and that as a child, he ate 3 of his brothers. This was the life of the Red Scale before the good doctor. This is the place where all of that began, and he hopes that you do not find the same suffering that his tribe did. And he leaves you to your adventure.
Farewell, Ragnar, and thank you. I cast Detect Evil in the general direction of the mist.
The mist seems to obscure your sight to a degree. There is no evil in the mist, so the mist is itself not evil in any way, shape, or form. Yeah, not at all.
Grim draws his blade at this point and looks over at the party to see if they're ready to continue on.
I have my shield and my battle axe out anyway, so.
We could just no, we couldn't. All right, let's go. I suppose we don't have much.
We don't see the temple yet, right?
No.
Obscured by the mist.
Correct.
Okay.
I step into the mist.
I will step as closest to alongside Camille as possible at this point.
Wait a minute. Wait. Come back.
Yes, Adminicles.
He pops his head out of the mist.
My Senii wrote about this. Here, I pull out a length of rope. We need to tie each other. Wait. And they did loop unto themselves a coil of rope about each per. We need to tie each other together. That way we won't get lost in the mist. Ha! Thank
Kinky.
you, my Senii. Yes, exactly.
This seems a valid tactic, though not too tightly. I don't want to be restrained.
20 feet between each other. 10 feet between each of us.
You do realize that when it comes to running, I will slow you guys down.
Not me.
Have you seen my feet? I'm short. I'm very short. I have to look up to look at you.
I think I speak on behalf of all of us. We would never leave a companion behind.
Indeed.
No.
We've known each other for a day. And I totally, no hard feelings, but I do not trust this guy. And I point towards the rogue.
I would never leave your gear behind.
Good enough for Grim.
All right. After.
Well, okay, my gear is on me, so yeah.
All right. So lashing yourselves together, for the most part, everyone has what is fundamentally a belt strap, and you use one of the loops to kind of just tie yourselves off. It can be very quickly released if needed, but it otherwise is very well secured. One thing I love about Pathfinder is there is no use rope check anymore. So it is tight. That's it. It's done. Okay? There is no...
got a tie rope.
Yeah.
Good.
Oh, God. For those of you in the audience who, like, remember those days. Ugh, those days. Okay.
From what I hear, they're putting that back in second edition.
Not listening. Okay, so
I'm going to actually place myself in between the fighter and the paladin. That way, I can flank either one of them if necessary.
okay,
When they're near me, they do feel a bit bolstered and less fearful. Not any actual static effect, but I do recommend they stay close to me as much as possible.
Very well. If you do not stay close to him, let me know. All right. As you enter the mist, you begin to traverse its quite voluminous, vaporous content. I need a a will save from everyone with a +5 bonus to anyone who has consumed the tea.
Can I have endurance? Does that +4 to non-lethal damage or something?
No, you won't get that one.
Okay.
Is a fear effect by any chance?
It is not a fear effect.
Will save.
Okay, so +5 from the T, and it was a will save.
Mm-hmm.
That brings my total up to a +11. That's going to be a 25 from Grim.
Okay.
13.
Mm-hmm.
Khalid rolled a 17 plus 1 for a total of 18.
Okie dokie.
Admittedly's got an 11.
All right, Adminicles. Very suddenly and unexpectedly, you are surrounded by a group of what appear to be blood red gorillas. And you are alone. In fact, worst still, you are tied to 3 of them. And they look at you with this enraged look on their face. It looks like they are going to clobber you into the ground unless you defend yourself.
What? No! Blast it all!
Suddenly, Adminicles begins to this.
And he holds out his hands and starts to pull the air around him in absolute desperation. And this is his panic, as well as mine as the players. His panic, he casts Obscuring Mist and just tries to hide himself in more mist.
All right, there is this giant of mist that surrounds you as Adminicles, after lashing and, you know, sort of crying and pleading, engulfs the entire area in a thicker mist than is already present. Adminicles, you are still tied to your 3 gorilla comrades.
Elf, stop
hell
this
no.
nonsense at once.
I'm pulling out a small dagger and very rigorously cutting at the rope.
I'm going to, at this point in time, attempt to pull the rope towards me. That way I can bring the elf closer to me and yell at him. Well, I guess he would hear it as "Ooga chaka, ooga chaka."
Actually, what he hears is as Adminicles is cutting the rope, this large red gorilla.
No! You intelligent to die!
He's lashing and slashing with his knife wildly at you. Roll a reflex save, please, Khalid, as he's thrashing around.
11 plus 8 for a total of 19.
Oh yeah, he without much effort, you dodge Adminicles' feeble attempts to strike at you. What are the other 2 doing as you guys witness?
I would like to grapple the elf.
Okay, roll a combat
Just put him
maneuver.
on the ground. Because I'm afraid he's going to cast nuclear bomb on us or something.
You can't assist with a combat maneuver, can you?
Absolutely, you can. So
Okay, because Grim's going to attempt to do the same.
all right,
got
so pick.
25.
Hold on. So yep. So roll to roll your combat maneuver as well, Grim.
That's going to be a 12.
What is your CM? I don't think that'll get Guy. He's CMD.
My CMD is only 15, so...
Oh.
Yeah.
Well then.
Mine hits.
Okay.
Well, if I'm assisting, if it is an actual assist, wouldn't it just be a DC 10?
Yeah. But that'll give thing a +2, which is fine.
That's all I was looking for.
Yep. So with a 27, you basically watch as this dwarf launches himself at Adminicles' back, and as it does so, it sort of hits Adminicles, and you see Grim basically grab hold of the belt strap of the fighter and just lunge it forward even more, careening the 2 of them forward to land on the ground in front of Khalid. Meanwhile, in Adminicles' world, this gorilla reaches up, grabs you like a rugby player, jumps into the air and collides with the ground, while another one beats his chest and jumps up, ready to kind of crush you underneath him.
Then I bitch slap him in the face.
All right.
To wake him up or something.
Okay. Make a will save, please, Adminicles.
If this doesn't work, let's try shoving leaves in his mouth as well.
My eyes gone. What is it? It's 17 plus 7, so 23. No, 24.
Okay, a sharp pain strikes you in the face as the gorilla sort of swings at you. You take 4 points of damage. This is a phantasm damage. This is kind of in his own head. As the gorilla clobbers him, whereas you've just kind of lightly tapped him on the face to wake him up. I mean, unless you wanna really get some backswing into it.
I really bitch slapped the crap out of him. Like,
is there some?
In my world, I'm from the military, right? In my world, when somebody goes crazy, we bitch slap him until he wakes up.
Okay.
Or when somebody goes drunk, we do the same.
Okay. Roll an attack. Roll an attack action. Just roll your d20. I've got
the quote for this is the beatings will continue until morale improves.
Yeah.
Yep.
Something like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
15. I got a 15.
15. Oh yeah, you definitely unleash the bitch slap on the person who is on the ground and pinned. Because your flat-footed is 16 with a minus. Yeah. So yeah, he'll basically bitch slap you. 1d6 plus your strength. Sorry, 1d3 plus your strength.
5.
Yep, 5 damage as he wham smacks you in the face, and you come to your senses, seeing, of course, there is a tooth that just flies out of your mouth.
I actually have a deep tree somewhere here.
You know what? With your accent, I could have sworn you just said, I have a teeth tree. Right? That's what I heard. I was like...
A deep tree.
Okay.
Three-sided die. Okay?
That's very cool.
Stop bullying me for being a foreign guy.
I'm going to rest my hand gently on the cleric's mouth where it was bloodied, and I'm going to lay on hands to heal for only 3 points of damage, I think.
So the tooth gets...
Oh, sorry, for every 2 levels. So that's 3. So actually full health. That's 5, 8 total.
What? Just ow! Why? Why are you on top of me? Where are the gorillas?
Why is there more mists than there was before?
What gorillas do you speak of?
As the human says, we haven't seen any gorillas.
Great band though, gorilla.
I think I've just encountered what this mist does. I need more of those leaves. Where would you get off of me, please?
Grim goes to lift the dwarf off, or assist the dwarf off.
Yep, you managed to clamber off the tiny frightened form of Adminicles as he begins to frantically shovel tea leaves into his mouth.
Save some for the children.
It's still good. Yes. All right. As he begins to come to his senses, and I assume clears off the obscuring mist.
He gets rid of that immediately. He starts to explain exactly what happened.
Okay.
Exactly what didn't happen.
Go on, explain.
There were 3 giant red gorillas.
Oh, thank you.
No. You weren't there. I was tied to them. So this whole thing made me believe that you were actually aggressors and were going to try and consume me. You didn't talk or anything. You were growling and gesturing and attacking.
So
This
you're
is some kind of...
assuming the gorillas wanted to eat you.
Oh no! They definitely wanted to eat me. No. This is absolutely the same look that those crocodile folk gave us when we met them. That same glaring stare. Oh no! They definitely wanted to eat me, without a doubt. But the panic that set in was quite... I haven't felt that way since I realized that there was a page missing.
You shudder.
I just want to make one thing clear here. Your panic button is missed.
And now it's...
Now you must understand. You have to realize that in a library, causing this to happen generally gets you out of a lot of trouble, and has the added benefit of not damaging anything around it either.
Well, at least we know the cure for the mists appears to be a dwarven bitch slap.
Yes, about that, and the subsequent...
You're welcome. What can I say except you're welcome?
We were told you're not allowed to sing on stream.
Oh, sorry.
No, that's just me. I'm not allowed
okay.
to sing on stream, apparently.
I didn't realize it was Michael specific. All right. Well, Grim speaks up. I believe the aggressive cure probably won't work for any exposure to this, or I should say expended exposure. Let's move along, please.
Okay, as the mist clears, it parts, revealing to you the silhouette of what appears to be a immense, and I mean like colossal, gorilla's face staring at you. As it... All I heard was Guy's little whimper. That was pretty funny.
I told you it was gorillas!
Okay, as the mist clears, you can see more of what is in front of you, and it appears to be a large temple with the visage of a giant gorilla wearing a warrior's helmet with what appears to be mammoth-sized tusks running through like massive, like giant buildings, basically, through this swampland. This, of course, is a building that bears a lot of architectural similarities to that of the ancient Garudan. The Garudan, which everyone will know now, is actually a race of gorilla folk, very commonly referred to as the Silverbacks, which are actually a playable race in Raenor, so that's a fun thing. But they are, however, on the verge of extinction. So there are many places like this around the world where signs of their once prosperous civilization, obviously are still lingering around. This large Garudan temple appears to basically there's a courtyard in front of this temple with a massive statue that appears to have been torn from its confines and used as a kind of blockade against the double doors leading into the building. The statue itself appears to be of a basically a robed magic user looking silverback gorilla who appears to be holding something that isn't there. Like it's sort of like like a raw kind of thing.
Do we know if the Garudan are a particularly violent species? Were they known for barbarism and savagery?
How can I put it? They were very good at it when they did it. Nowadays, it's more that they're very private. They're private people. They are very honorable. They are very powerful. But they do not seek war and battle like many of the other races of Raenor. So in terms of savagery, especially with your understanding of history, you would know that maybe once upon a time there were traces of that, but there is no longer within what remains of the Garudan society. Or at least the one you're familiar with.
Would there be any religious significance to this temple or the images that we're seeing?
You may make a knowledge religion check.
That is going to be a 15.
You do not know anything about this temple at all.
And you said the front doors appear to be barred from the outside?
Yes, by the large rubble of the statue that was there.
Knowing what we know about the history of the Garudan, what gods did they worship?
You know, of all the people that ask me these questions, I'm like, I'm looking at you. Literally, by the way, guys, if you're joining us in this stream at this point, you know, by the way, welcome. But this is the guy who writes it, right? And I've got a primer that is like 2 pages thick, and it's got everything in it. And he's asking me, what gods did the Garudan have? Well, is that in the primer? Well, no. But apparently I've got to make that shit up right now. So, yes, they had a pantheon of gods. But unlike the gods that we are familiar with, which are, of course, the gods that shape the world and provide power, the Garudan followed various different cultures. So some of them had the pantheon of gods, similar to the ones that you see around the place. However, other tribes would worship nature and the spirits of Caliban, or the aspects of Caliban that would exist within the world. And there were some who worshipped paragons. So those who worshipped notable heroes and people who advanced the culture or society of the Garudan themselves. That's what you would know about who, generally speaking, they worship. As to
so of the material that I provided you, they would most likely have some ties to Caliban, who is responsible for what we know of the Felden Marshes and assumed to be its manifestation of this rage type affliction that it's got.
That is correct.
Well, obviously they didn't go in through the front door.
If anyone's got knowledge engineering, you may roll it. Otherwise, a perception check.
I've got dungeoneering.
No.
Nah,
mate. Nah.
27 on a perception check, natural 18.
6. Natural 6.
9. Natural 9.
The building is made of rock.
20.
Yep.
All right. The two, both Adminicles and Khalid, you notice that the actual stone itself, the big rubble that's sort of there, seems to have been dragged kind of back and forth from the front entrance. You can see scuff marks and scratch marks as if something had moved it repeatedly to obstruct the entranceway. You actually also look at most of the courtyard and the building, and as you can naturally expect, the weeds and the fungus and the plant life has sort of grown and started to take over the building, even sinking one of the sides so that one of the large tusks seems to be almost buried under the kind of boggy kind of peat that is under your feet. But the break in the stone looks almost clean, like it was snapped, and looks recent. So you can actually see kind of the rather clean looking break around the base of the statue.
Does the red ichor that surrounds the Felden Marsh that we've walked through, does it stick also to the temple itself?
Yes and no. The ichor itself isn't attached to it, but you can definitely see the red vines containing ichor climbing up the sides of the walls and like permeating various holes in the structure. It definitely looks like this building has been here for thousands of years, if not longer.
As Pythagoreans would say, does anyone have a lever?
What for, Elf?
That block over there, it obviously moves. You can see the track marks. But
I'm going
obviously,
to hand the Elf
obviously, yeah.
Me?
Yes.
Well,
Here.
With lever in hand, Adminicles.
um,
Grim holds out his hand,
ah,
and Grim will approach the statue and attempt to move it, following along the same path that the groove's already there. Now that he's been made aware of them, notices them, and will try to follow suit. Strength check, or is there some more hidden mechanic to it?
Strength check it is.
Can I help him?
Absolutely, you may. Hurry, I'll just explain assisting real quick. One of you two pick yourselves to be the primary roller,
Grim.
which is Grim.
Yep.
You'll receive a +2 bonus from the fact that you are using a crowbar, basically. And then, Kimmy, you will also roll a strength check, but you only need to hit a 10, and you'll provide him with a further +2 bonus.
15.
Yep,
Perfect.
so that's an extra
So
+2.
I'm rocking with a +8 bonus right now. That is going to be a 19.
Ooh, does anyone else assist? Or is it just two of you? Someone kick it. All right.
Fine, I kick it.
All right. Yep, make a strength check. Rolls a natural 1, breaks his foot.
Natural 20 plus 2, so total of 22.
At this point, just putting a little bit of pressure on the back end of the... Because you've basically grabbed the crowbar by the front, and you've basically tried to just wrench the leverage, whereas he's sort of come up on the back of it and sort of pushed down, applying more force, and you see the whole thing sort of...
And I'm just leaning against it.
Yeah. As it slides... As the entranceway becomes open, you can see inside the temple and into what appears to be a large antechamber, which I will describe momentarily.
8 antechambers, they're so negative.
Yes.
I'm gonna nudge the orc and request my crowbar back.
I pass the crowbar back, and at this point, this is where I'll bless the party.
Your crowbar is now straight. No, I'm joking. Tease. All right, so bless. So everyone now has a +1 to their attack and saves versus fear. All right, so you have now entered what appears to be a hall of some sort that was once upon a time a receiving area for the Garudan who entered this temple. This appears to have many statues that line both sides of the hallway, all depicting various poses and various outfits of the same one Garudan, depicted, of course, by several notable facial features and, you know, body, what do you call it, fur coloration. Let me describe it. Okay.
That's what I saw. That's what you became. That makes sense now. Obviously, I mean, well, these are the gorillas that attacked me. Well, not these. Obviously, these are statues. But yes. Ha!
As Adminicles has his revelation, you also notice that in this particular antechamber are also a floor carpeting this entire area with broken and crushed bones. There is also dried blood caked upon the walls, and also upon the walls appears to be sort of moss-covered murals, which seem to show various states of battling Garudan, who seem to be heralded, or who seem to be heralding a large reptilian winged creature breathing fire and lightning.
Would that have any religious significance?
Oh, you may roll a knowledge religion if you like.
A measly 12.
Again, you know nothing about Garudan culture. If there is Garudan in this party, he would slap you for how little you know about his culture.
That's fair.
But there are quite a few bones on the ground here, but they are ancient and dusty.
Okay, alright, thank you.
Khalid, maybe this is your area of expertise.
I'm a jack of many trades, but unfortunately, Khalid took no skill points in knowledge.
Have I mentioned how much I love this group? Like, it's awesome. Like, hey guys, let's showcase Raenor and all of its cool and colorful history, and let's not anyone take any knowledges to explore it.
I took two very specific knowledges, nobility and religion. I just suck at religion, I guess, and nobility was the wrong angle.
Yeah. Very few nobles in the swamp.
I guess we're in a dungeon. I have dungeoneering, so.
But dungeoneering's okay. Dungeoneering I can make work. All right. So, in terms of significance, as far as you can tell, a cursory glance at the murals will let you know that, well, once upon a time, dragons apparently had some kind of relationship with the Garudan. You're not entirely sure what kind of capacity that was. But you can roll me a perception check.
Right.
4.
9.
1.
24.
Thank
16
you.
plus 8.
Huzzah. All right, one of you, while the rest of you are kind of either looking at bones or going, this is a nice room. This is a really nice room.
Trying to remember what the dragon looks like. I'm trying to get it like really deeply embedded in Grimm's mind, not paying attention to anything else.
Okay. Meanwhile, however, Khalid walks over and seems to scratch off some of the moss that seems to be obscuring the murals, and you could see what appears to be a tale that unfolds. Long story short, it shows a Garudan climbing up to a really, really high point and receiving a gift of some kind of flame from on high, and then proceeding down and handing it to the other members of the Garudan. First of all, what appears to be a dying Garudan, like one is sort of lying on the ground beneath him, and he takes the flame and he's sort of placing it over him, and suddenly that Garudan is sitting up, and then lo and behold, he passes the flame on to other members of the Garudan, and you can see them becoming gentlemanly gorillas, you know, as it were. So they've gone from being like kind of very primal, very tribalistic, to being very what's the word? Very
Refined.
refined, yeah. Civilization almost.
Oh, so as I'm scratching off this this mural, I was like, this seems familiar. And it's almost as if it's a history tale that was recounted to me back in my homeland. The Garudan were given some sort of magic from the gods to save one of the Garudan's children, and that's how magic came into the world, at least according to them, from what I can recall.
Do you tell the group this, or are you just remembering
Yeah,
yourself?
that's literally what I'm.
Oh, okay. Just making sure before I harass the cleric. This wasn't in any of your books, elf?
Garudan's Leaves on the Concun is a book on my list to read. Thank you very much. But some time.
Oh, I have a copy of that. Wait.
He pulls out what appears to be a very
You will
tiny
have to
pocket
read.
edition. It's like super
Traveler's,
tiny.
edition.
Was there anything associated with this mural, or maybe any doorways in this chamber that we found ourselves?
As you proceed further in the antechamber, you actually find yourself confronted by a corridor that leads both to the east and the west. Now, there's a door at the end of the eastern wing. There is a door at the end of the western wing. There is also a door directly in front of you. Standing on either side of this door is what appears to be two of the same statue of the Garudan. He holds his hand out, and apparently there is a bracer seated in his hand. However, there is no fuel, there is no wood, there is nothing to burn. That would imply that it would be, burning.
I'll detect evil as my paladin ways want me to.
The metal thing is not evil.
I have candles.
So there's an unlit light source is what we got?
There
I
are
have a tinder box.
there are 2 unlit braziers, one in each of the flanking statues' hands. The one on the left and the one on the right. Right.
Grim has dark vision, so sees no need for this.
Okay, so who is lighting what? Let's start, of course, with Kimmy.
I'm lighting his candles.
Okay, the
With
candles
my-
are lit.
And Minicles goes over to the one bracer and places a candle in that one, and he goes to the other one.
Oh, whoa, whoa, whoa. As you place the candle in the first one, you can roll
Not too
me...
bad.
Actually, everyone can roll me a reflex save.
Yes. I totally don't suck at that.
All right. So a total of 24, natural 16.
Ooh, 20.
9.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh.
Natural 1.
In the words of the infamous George Takei, oh my. All right. So, okay. As he lights the candle, a strange sound, a clicking, and then the rushing of stone can be heard, as from above you, a trap opens, and you see a series of these stone fists, massive boulder-sized stone fists, begin to pummel the corridor that you are in. As you basically are standing beneath the dust and from the entire length of the corridor. Now, that is a glorious 10 points of damage to Grim and Minicles, 5 points of damage to Camille, and of course, the rogue, being a roguey McRogingson, for some reason or other takes no damage. He basically enters the subspace and avoids every single punch that flies from the ceiling. And because he does so, him and Camille can both make me perception checks, as they're not getting too pummeled.
18.
6 plus 8, so a total of 14.
Okay, Camille, you notice that as each fist that misses someone hits the ground, you notice that there's this almost like this strange glitter kind of stone on their knuckles, and when it collides with the ground, you can see it create this tiny little spark, sort of like almost like, you know, your flint and whetstone type thing.
Okay.
The fists eventually stop pummeling you and return to the ceiling. The traps that opened up above slide shut.
So the fist returned to the ceiling?
Yeah.
You should light the other candle.
Hold. Who else took a bit of a beating from that? And Grim begins to lay on hands. What do we got for damage, folks? Is it just me and Theo?
Actually, no. Everyone's been injured except for Khalid. That's 10 damage for the 2 of you that didn't make the save, and 5 damage for Kimmy, who made the save, but, you know.
Yeah.
It's
I
reflex
have a
off.
total of 7 uses of lay on hands, so I've used 1. I'm going to use 3 more, and I'll lay on hands for everyone. So for myself, that's the worst. I rolled 2 1s, so that's 2 points of health back to me.
Well done.
I'll lay on hands. Sorry.
Well done.
Oh yes, sorry. Lay hands on the cleric, the elf. That's going to be 9 points healed, and then on the dwarf, I lay on hands for 10 points healed, which is, you know, that's all right.
Way too much.
Yep, fine.
All right.
Whew.
Feeling slightly better at the holy touch of your paladin, how do you guys wish to proceed?
Okay, Khalid is going to quaff a potion of dark vision at this point in time.
Okay, just to let you guys know, at this point in time, it is still low light vision, as the ceilings and stuff like that have been permeated by the weeds and the vines and stuff like that have left large holes that have illuminated the temple, for the most part, in this area.
Do we
Okay.
think lighting the other area would cause the same thing to happen? Is the original candle still lit?
No.
In the...
No.
No.
I tell the party about the sparky thing I saw.
I don't quite know what to make of that.
Me
Do we want
neither.
to
That's why I'm
try
telling you.
We've got other rooms other than the door ahead of us, which is the one flanked by these statues. How about we go west and try that door?
Hang on a moment. Wait a minute. Maybe we're being a bit silly. The gorillas, the Garadan, they were given the gift of magic, not fire. Fire, if I'm not mistaken, is one of the creation theories of the humans. Also flawed, of course, but maybe we should cast magic within the area of these braces.
We could also search around and come back to it. I don't want to exhaust ourselves, and I'm not as magically oriented as you yourself, Elf.
Fair point. Fair point. I'll take my lead from you there.
The elf does propose an interesting idea that we can, at the very least, keep in consideration whenever we revisit this area. But at this point in time, Khalid is going to bust out a piece of chalk and mark down on the side of the wall an arrow in the direction of travel, whichever direction we choose to go.
Okay, cool. You leave yourself a chalk breadcrumb trail.
Khalid, you seemed to be the least affected by the traps of this place. Maybe you could take point?
Yes, I can. Which direction do you propose we should go?
West.
Okay, so I'm going to take point and lead the party west, keeping an eye out for traps as I go.
And I'll follow directly behind.
All right. As per the rules for the time being, I'm going to be accepting the fact that you guys are keeping your eye out for traps, and I will be rolling perception checks privately to determine whether or not you find anything. So, heading to the west, you begin by opening the door. There appears to be no traps on it, but beyond appears to be a room that is a corridor. Now, strangely enough about this corridor, it appears to be in what was the tusks of the helmet that you saw from the outside of the temple. The floor looks very bizarre, almost sloped like you would imagine, or curved like you would imagine a sewer or runoff to kind of be. And on the top appear to be these handholds like a monkey bar, as it were, that seem to be evenly spaced heading through that general direction.
Oh, I have a bad feeling about this one.
Grim shan't be climbing anywhere in full plate. If somebody else wants to proceed, or we can always check the eastern door.
I guess that's me. So yeah, I'm gonna sheath my rapier, spit in my hands, rub them together, and try and traverse across the spans of the floor by using the monkey bars.
All right, you grab hold of the monkey bars, which lift you just above the ground level. Make an acrobatics check as you attempt to swing. Now, the reason you have to make an acrobatics check is because it doesn't seem as though these particular monkey bars were designed for you. It looks as though almost like these monkey bars were designed for something with much longer arms.
Monkey bars for gorillas?
I saw this on American Ninja Warrior once. No, I rolled an 8 plus 12 for a total of 20.
That's perfectly fine. So moving up ahead, you get about 30, 40 feet away from the group, unless the group wishes to follow on the monkey bars.
No.
Nope. Okay.
Thanks for the support, guys.
And you see at the end of this corridor, which curves around out of view of them, appears to be a statue of the same Garudan, who seems to be holding in front of him a glowing blue flame. There is no fire, there's no fuel, there's no like twigs or tinder or anything like that. It is just hovering in the air at its palm.
Interesting. While holding on to the monkey bar, Do I see a lever or anything that is accessible on the other side of the corridor rather that could be used maybe to activate or deactivate anything?
Negative.
No? Okay. Um, so I'm going to swing and land down on the ground and draw a. I'm going to take a closer look at the flame. I'm going to mention to the party, I'll be one moment, and approach the flame and investigate.
Okay. Does anyone wish to do anything while he is moving towards said statue?
Do we see the flame from where we are, or is it obscured?
That's obscured from your general direction.
So he is as well?
Yes, when he goes back down.
You really have a copy of Garadan's Book of Concoon with you? I mean, really?
Yeah, it started off as a joke, but some being above us or something gave it to me just like a minute ago. It's like there is some kind of dungeon master or something like that. I don't know.
More of a humor, I understand.
Yeah.
Pull the leg of the librarian. Oh, I understand.
But I had the book in my pocket and I was just, oh, I have that book. So yeah, cool.
At least someone was prepared.
Okay. So, with the two of you kind of talking about the book in front of you, as you get to the end of the monkey bars, you find yourself before the statue. The statue's fire seems to be burning extra bright when you get closer, almost as if it senses your life force as you approach. You're still kind of hanging from the ceiling, as it were, but you are now within reach of the statue and the flame itself. What do you wish to do?
If possible, still hanging, I'm going to hang by one arm and reach in my backpack with the other, if possible, and try and retrieve a torch.
You sort of hang on to it, reach back, and you pull out one of your unlit torches.
Okay. And I'm going to extend the torch out and try and light the torch on fire with the flame.
You sort of lean forward and sort of swing a little bit, and you manage to clip the clip the fire with the wooden torch, but it doesn't seem to catch a light. However, as you swing closer, it seems to pulse. Like, as you get closer, it gets brighter, and as you go further away, it goes dim again.
Okay. Is the floor still curved as it was in the previous area?
Yes.
Okay. At this point in time, I'm going to put the torch back away and make my way back towards the party and let them know what I found.
All right. Sweet. He returns and he says, found a statue. Big flame.
Yeah, it's blue fire, and I'm going to explain that as I got closer, it pulsed. When I was in the area, did I notice anything further ahead? Or was it just more monkey bars?
No, that was it. No, that was it. No. The monkey bars ended before the statue. The statue was at the end of the corridor.
Ah, okay. So, yes. There's a flame. It pulses. As you get closer, it gets brighter. But it's in a brazier like we encountered in the previous area.
Those candles we lit earlier, can we take them?
I used a torch. I tried to light a torch on fire with the flame, but
yeah, but those I mean those candles on the wall right here, are they?
Oh, the braziers. No. The braziers are big metal things fixed to the wall. Yeah.
Okay. Then I have no idea.
Didn't you say that the gods handed the flame to the Garadan?
Yes.
Did you try and touch it?
No, I didn't try and touch it.
You need somebody to try to touch it?
I'm certainly not going to try and touch it.
I'll try and touch it.
I don't think you're going to be able to get over there, dwarf.
I can if I lose my armor.
It takes some time to put the armor back on.
I've got time.
All right. That we
Or
could
I'll
do
just
that
try
way.
in my armor or whatever. I just want to get going. That's all.
You can
Maybe
try
the
it
elf
with
wants to try.
you can try it with your armor if you like.
We to Khalid, Grim says, if you get wounded, Aminocles or myself can assist. We'll be here.
Absolutely. Unless you
Yes.
die, we can make sure that you come back.
But if I get injured over there and y'all are over here,
Logics.
Oh, yeah. Good point. Good point.
I will have motivation to climb them.
you don't have motivation now?
No.
Oh, orcs. Fine, fine. I guess it's up to me, the human. I will once again ascend to the monkey bars
All right.
and make my way to the fire.
All right. An acrobatics check, please, as you return across the precipice.
Apologies if I missed this. What is beneath him as he's climbing?
It's
a
a
sloping
it's
floor?
sort of it's like sort of a curved floor, like you'd imagine in a sewer, that runs the
Is there
entire
any
length.
water?
There is a little bit of water at the bottom, yeah.
Is it like something that if I went down to get the water for the vial for our elf friend back in the hut, would I have a difficult time getting back up in
No.
full plate armor?
No. But you would have to step into the room to get into that little curve.
A total of 21 for the acrobatics check.
And you're at the other end.
I'm
All right. While
just gonna.
he pontificates, did you want to try and grab the water by any chance?
I'll wait to see if I have to enter the room when he falls.
Okay.
Not if, when.
Grim
Okay.
knows what he thought.
All right. So,
All right.
so Aminocles, do you have any words of wisdom?
Well, in the words of my elementary school teacher, don't drop.
And Camille, anything you want to shout out? That might
Nope.
start. No.
No,
just-
I want to point out that I volunteered. So if he dies or whatever happens to him, it's not on me. I volunteered.
Fair enough.
Grim
putting it out
from the back. Think of the children.
Okay.
Oh yes.
And
Okay.
my armor, by the way, my gear, it's right here. Just saying.
So newly encouraged by the idea of wealth being behind you, you have all the more reason to return safely. You at least there's water. Sorry, someone in the chat just said at least there's some water there you can put yourself out with.
That was half of why I asked. Not the first, but it was half. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, the fire lies before you, glowing.
Yeah, I'm going to mention to myself, oh, here goes nothing, and I'm going to reach out and put my hand in the fire.
As you reach out to touch the flames, a stone hand grasps you by the forearm. The eyes begin to light up and burn, and they peer into you, almost burning into the back. You can feel heat at the back of your head, where it's looking through into your very soul. You hear a voice ringing in your head. Frokno seviar, dotte seviar, mosokeren, hatolene vegerir! And all of a sudden, your head just gets blown backwards. You fall from the monkey bars and land with a heavy thud on the stone. Your hand is now holding a floating orb of fire. And the statue has no flame in its hand.
Are you alright?
I think so. I'm gonna holler back. My hand's on fire.
It'll get better. It'll get better. Grab some water while you're down there, if you would. Don't mind the fire.
He's on fire!
Does it hurt?
No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't hurt. So yeah, I'm going to take out one of my water flasks and shake my head because apparently the orc is too good to get the water himself. And
as you do so, you notice something peculiar. You notice that you seem to be unable to close the hand that is holding the fire. So you sort of, because I mean, obviously, I imagine you used your dominant hand to try and reach out.
Yeah.
So your dominant hand has lost the ability to close. So you go to sort of reach for something in your backpack, and you just can't close it. And you're like, okay, I'll just pull it out with your left hand. You pick it up.
This is interesting. Okay, so I'm going to drink some water from my flask, empty it out, and scoop up a sample of the water that is right in front of me.
You do so. It is surprisingly clean and also a little bit cold, but, you know, apart from that.
Okay. So, decisions. I guess I'm going to put the flask back in my backpack, look at my hand with the flame, look at the monkey bars, and ponder to myself for a moment before saying, "Oh, to hell with it. Maybe I can do this one-handed," and grab the monkey bars again.
All right, leaping up into the air, you grab hold of the monkey bar with the one good remaining hand. Make an acrobatics check as you lunge yourself forward and try to, as quickly as you can, reach out and grab the next rung.
I cannot even imagine how this works.
American Gladiator.
Just imagine American Gladiator. Oh, 15 plus 12 for a total of 27.
Okay, that's how it works.
3, 2, 1, thwap! As you land on the ground, you hear a chunk as the stone slips from underneath you. Now, you guys are waiting by the door, aren't you?
Mm-hmm.
Excellent. Mm-hmm. You hear the sounds of what appears to be metal coming towards you. It has this very strange scraping sound, but you don't really know where it's coming from or why. You sort of stand back a little bit, and as you do, inches away from yourself, a huge blade that seems to be spinning, rolling down this tube with this axle that seems to be on the lip of that curvature that was mentioned before, seems to be gaining speed and making its way towards the end of the tunnel, where we obviously find our rogue. The guys at the door, you get to act first. What is it you wish to do when you see this giant blade spinning, careening, should I say, towards your rogue?
Yelling out, "Watch it!"
Well, he's coming towards the door where we are, correct?
No, he's flat on his face next to the statue.
Oh.
Is he going to get hit by the blade, obviously?
Oh, yeah.
Grim will rush into the room, slide down the floor, and do his best to get next to the rogue and get a shield up if possible, if there's time for it.
Okay. The problem here is that you can't get onto the other side of the blade.
There is a gap.
Yeah, the blade itself doesn't provide enough of a gap. Basically, the thickness of the blade goes outwards and then into that fine point. Basically, if it were it's not like a thin buzzsaw kind of thing. It's more like a wedge, as it were. And the wedge is creating that momentum, which is going to both crush, chop, and mince things. Like, have you actually seen those old mortar and pestles that have the little grindy thing? It's like a big stone disc. Sure. Yep. It's literally like a massive version of that. Yeah, rogue sashimi, as someone's mentioned.
Can I get to the rogue?
You can follow the blade, but you can't get to where the rogue is.
Gotcha. I don't have much else. Gentlemen, thoughts? Quickly?
Yeah, you want to grab something to eat?
At this point in time, I hear them shouting and
I'm shouting like a maniac, literally like a maniac. I'm like, watch out, blade!
Yep.
Crushing!
so can I see? I drank the potion of dark vision. Can I see this thing coming for me? Is there an angle that I can?
It's still around the corner, so you can't quite see it yet. But before we get to your reaction, because we'll obviously have a little bit of time for that, Adminicles, what's your reaction to that?
Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear, oh, this is not good. All right. I got it. I'm gonna touch the sides of the floor. The blade is moving along. Yeah, so that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna Adminicles is gonna cast a spell.
Okay, roll me a caster level check, please, as you cast Dispel on the actual floor.
Not dispel. It's a spell. I'm casting a spell. I have a spell. Yeah.
Oh, okay. What spell are you casting?
Oh, stone shape. I'm going to try and warp a ridge along the length of this tunnel, so that the blade is going to get jammed up before it gets to the rogue.
All right. As the blade gets closer to the rogue, who basically sort of stands up after falling, his hand's still open, by the way, as he does so, sort of, and looks and sees this blade sort of coming around the corner, this huge wedge that takes up a majority of the actual corridor. And all of a sudden, you see this giant stone spike basically cut across the pathway, tilting it onto its side and causing it to crash into one of the nearby walls. You see the stones fall to the wayside as the rocks and stones, sort of can't support the weight of the giant blade. You can climb over it safely as it is no longer moving.
And Graham just plodding along behind it, trying to charge, going very slowly because he's in, full plate.
Damn.
Something else.
I think I said a lot of things.
Fair.
All right.
The most important was the verbal component of the spell that just saved my hind. So, yeah, I'm going to go ahead and climb over it and head back towards the rest of the party with my glowing hand.
All right. The rogue arrives with hand aflame with a very ominous looking blue fire that seems to glow quite brightly and pulsate as if a living creature.
When we get back to the statues with the empty holders, Grim's going to step well outside of where the original trap had sprung. Just
in case.
Monitor.
Okay.
Sure.
The rest of you, I assume, do the same? Except for the rogue?
No, I'm going to stand next to the rogue.
Okay.
I think that was very, very brave of what you did. And we should also remember to say thanks to our great god for saving you.
Yes. Gordek will remember you fondly.
Not that one. He unfortunately was plodding forward, whilst it was, I think you will find, Valerian who actually came to save the day. But nonetheless, all are important, and all should be recognized for their supreme divine power and the ability to change all of our lives.
Well, for me, I find my faith in Kith, the weaver of the all-web and master of fates. If I survived today, yes, it was in part due to him, as well as Orion, your deity. And yeah, I think that we should all take a moment to hopefully pray to those gods that this all goes well and we don't die in a fiery ball of death when I light these braziers on fire.
Grim definitely shows reverence.
Me?
Nope.
That was gold. I knew that was coming too. All right. So, without any hesitation, you see Khalid basically reaching forward and placing his hand in the brazier, which sets on fire and lights up. There's a click! And the secret door opens into a room that is completely and utterly covered in red weeds. These ones are thicker and larger than the ones that you are used to in the swamp, with huge bulbs that seem to be sloshing, you know, basically in this huge and dark room. And you could hear something now that the stone door is no longer obscuring it. It is a loud thumping sound coming from the dark room within.
I think these are progenitor plants. These are what are causing the red marsh. Remember, we didn't know what the origin was. I think this spreads it, so I wouldn't puncture any of these things. And also, I think that, Camille, you should be in front now.
Grim will also step forward and use Detect Evil.
Oh, there is some mad evil in here. So you can only see 60 foot here because of the light that is permeating from the doorway that you have opened, but there is a darkness within. So you can't actually see too far into the room itself unless you enter with a light source of some kind. The noise is coming from deeper within the dark, but there is definitely a strong aura of evil that flows out, almost like this black cloud reaching its smoky tendrils out towards you. You've detected evil before in the past, but this bears a similarity to what you would imagine a desecrated area to feel like.
Why do I have to go first?
We're expecting trouble, dwarf.
So even with my dark vision, there's darkness at about 60 feet?
Yeah.
Okay. It seems that there's something obscuring the path of vision a little bit ahead of us. So take caution. And I'm going to again place myself in a flanking position between the fighter and the paladin.
Okay. You place.
I go in shield first.
All right.
I'm guessing I can close my hand now. Yes.
Oh yes. Sorry, I apologize. The flame has de-ignited from you, as it were. Oddly enough, leaving only what appears to be a glowing tattoo on your arm.
Interesting.
It bears a lot of symbols of the ancient Garudan. As to what it means and what it portends, perhaps that's something for another day. But for the time being,
it's wicked cool.
Yes, it's wicked cool, and it provides a small torchlight when you desire.
Nice.
All right, entering forth, the noise and the thumping begins to get louder and louder, until eventually you find yourself against what looks like a hard wall with the weeds rising up to a 80-foot high ceiling, a huge archway with a massive door. So massive, in fact, there is a tinier door inside the actual door itself to allow for medium humanoids to pass through. And adjacent to it, banging its head against the wall, appears to be a massive, hulking, gorilla-shaped humanoid wearing ancient armor that is old, worn, but high quality. Its helmet, huge and large, with massive tusks and big, thick plate. Its arms, instead of obviously where its fists and knuckles would be, is what appear to be almost shackles. And at the end of these shackles, massive iron... Okay, does anyone know the word tetsubo? If I say the word tetsubo? It's like a...
Nope.
It's like a metal rod with studs in it that are also made of metal. They're incredibly heavy and used to basically...
Oh, the weapon.
Yeah, the weapon.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's got...
It's like a baseball bat with studs.
Yeah. A steel baseball bat with studs. It has two of them as gloves that fit over these immense gorilla-like arms. And it just seems to be leaning on them, barreling its head forward and smashing its face against the wall. As you approach, it turns to face you, and you notice that it is just a mask with a skull underneath it. It looks at you and roars with its fanged maw as we go into initiative. Does anyone want to react to this thing while we're rolling?
Would this be one of the sources of evil?
Oh, yeah.
And by skull, I'm assuming we get the impression it's probably undead of some sort?
Very good. Very good assumption there. All right, initiatives.
12 from Grim.
Yep.
18.
18? Yep.
25 from Khalid.
And
15.
15. Awesome. All right, and the Garudan, oh dear, rolls a natural 20.
Ouch.
Well, it's better there than anywhere else. Yeah.
So I was standing in the back, right? I was
standing
Believe
right in
you're
the
up
back.
front
I
of
don't think you
me.
ever entered. Is that right? Like, I feel like you didn't enter the room.
yeah. I'm still drinking tea in the cabin.
Okay. All right. Okay. Actually, you know what? I'll give you guys a free knowledge religion check on this thing if you wish to, as you have seen what it is.
19 from Grim.
18 from Khalid.
19 is enough. You know this thing to be a dread skeleton. They are quite more powerful than the original skeletons. But this one seems to be aged, so, I mean, it doesn't seem as powerful as it normally is, but still not to be confused with your normal pushover, fall to pieces when you hit it with a bat type of regular skeleton. This thing is quite powerful. And speaking of power...
Yeah.
Oh, yep, go on.
No, just wondering if I knew of any traditional weaknesses, but please continue.
Oh no, absolutely. You know you only know of its main ability, and that is, of course, it has the ability to command other skeletons. It leaps forward, brandishing one of its massive arms, and rolls an 18 to hit the paladin, which I believe is
Grim
not enough.
Flex it with his shield and smiles at the thought of fighting something dead. These are memories that should fade.
Ooh, very nice. All right, and we then go, of course, to Khalid, who is on 25 for his...
All right. So, yeah, I'm going to try and pierce it with my rapier.
All right, taking forth your rapier, you thrust at the large metal gorilla. Make your attack.
So we get +1 for bless and +2 because I'm flanking it, yes?
Correct.
All right. 16 plus 8 plus 3 is 20, like...
That almost
That's
certainly hit.
Okay. 4 plus 4, 8 total damage.
As you thrust into the armor, you find that there is little purchase on your thrust as you've pushed your sword almost through the armor and almost into hollow space. You feel like there's obviously been some connection, there's some substance to your thrust, but nowhere near as much as you had intended. As we then move on to... Kimmy.
I move into flanking position and I would like to attempt a power attack.
Well, with both Grim and Khalib in flanking position, you would have to hopefully pray that our good friend Adminicus is susceptible to the idea of flanking with you. No. Okay, so you won't be able to flank.
Okay. I've got 23 with my power attack. 23. That's a hit probably.
That will definitely hit.
Oh, another 8 on my D8. What the hell? That's 10 plus the 4, 14 damage. 14. That's 40.
All right. As you swing your axe, again, similarly, you strike at its armor, cutting through, and you can see the gap in the armor where you've cut, and you can see, like, some of the bone has been chipped away, but again, it lacks the punch that you've been accustomed to, especially fighting the blind helms from earlier on. All right, we then go to... Grim. No, sorry, not Grim. Adminicles.
Adminicles grabs his holy symbol of Vorian and steps forward, holding it towards the undead creature. With the power of my deity at my side, you, creature, have no strength here! And I release this bolt of consecration, which consecrates the entire area, 30-foot radius. It gets a saving throw, will save, I believe, and
it does not.
Is 17.
He does not make it with a natural 1. As the holy light basks the area, that sense of evil that you were detecting earlier on, Grim, seems to fade away, and the smoke seems to, at least temporarily, clear from the area surrounding Adminicles. As he holds and clutches his symbol of Vorian tightly, you can see that the skeleton seems to be physically weakened by the presence of the consecrated area.
That's right. All right.
All right.
So it's got a -2 to attack, damage, saves, etc.
Yep. Instead of a +2, you bastard. Okay, we then go to Grim.
Grim calls out to Gordek, help me scrub this thing from all current memory, using Smite Evil as a swift action and targeting the Dread Skeleton, which is actually pretty solid because it is an undead creature. I'm going to get my Charisma bonus of +4 to attack rolls, and then I'm going to get, for the first successful attack, +10 points of damage. And after that's going to be +5, and this goes through damage reduction if there are any to be applied, because I am using a slashing weapon, and I'll get some bonus AC on that. So all of that gears up. Oh, if you want to give me bless, that's fine, but it only lasted for 5 minutes.
It's still up. I'll still say it's active.
I appreciate that then. All right, so I'm going to just get right on in there. I'm going to, chill it and just slash down at it with my, faintly glowing sword as I smash through it. That's going to be plus a significant amount, I guess. My normal is +11, and then I'm adding +5, so I'm at 22.
Yep, you're good.
7. Yeah, okay. That's a 27, and then for damage. I rolled an 8 on my D8. Looks like I'm stealing from the door. Now let's actually find what that total is, because I do get +10, so we're 18, and then what is my actual normal attack roll? +5. So we're looking at 10, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23 points of damage to the Dread Skeleton.
Wow. Okay. Well, first of all, he's still up, so I'm gonna get that out of your head straight away. But that, ladies and gentlemen, is a sizable blow as the longsword, fueled by the holy energy of Gordek, by his paladin of righteousness, swings down and clefts large swaths of bone and armor from this large and imposing figure. It almost topples when it leans back on one of its large club-like hands and seems to catch itself. It does not look like it's got much long left in it. It, in turn, takes its turn and focuses solely on this paladin. Actually,
the shield with the sword. He's ready for it.
All right. It's going to do two things. It's going to use a powerful charge with power attack and vital strike in order to try and swing at... Oh, actually, no vital strike, and it's going to cleave, and I'm going to include the fighter in this as well, because I don't like your axe. Alright, first one is... Does a 25 confirm a critical hit?
On whom?
On the paladin.
My AC gets bumped up to 29 because of Smite Evil.
It does
So no.
indeed. So the first attack does not hit you. The second attack against the fighter doesn't confirm a crit, but I assume a 34 will hit.
A 20-34 will hit, yeah.
A 34 hit. Okay. 11, 16. All right. That is 16 points of damage as the as he swings with one hand trying to hit Grim, and it sort of hits Grim, but Grim doesn't seem to go down. The second one seems to swing around the side and manage to clip Kimmy. Kimmy sort of gets knocked back, taking a bit of damage, but she still manages to bounce back. We then go to Khalid.
I'm going to poke at it again with the rapier. Yeah, because that seems to be my only source of offense at this time. 8 plus 8 is... Will a 16 hit?
No, it will not, as your rapier bounces off its armor this time.
Oh.
Yes, alas. We then go to Camille.
I will try to return the favor with a power attack.
Ooh, very nice.
And I rolled a 2, so that's not going to hit. Well, actually, that's a 7 then. No, an 8, because I've got less. Still.
You miss. You whiffed.
Yeah.
All right. We then go to Adminicles.
Adminicles very pointedly looks at the paladin and screams out, "Vorian, bring us salvation!" And he brings down his holy symbol and channels energy in a 30-foot radius, dealing 3d6 damage to the undead.
You can roll it, but I'm going to say you don't need to. It literally has 3 hit points.
God,
Well,
so
it
close.
takes 10.
As you see the form sizzle, it falls to its knees. The dust in its face sort of begins to dissipate and sort of blow out of the armor. The armor then collapsing onto the ground. The creature remains motionless. But this is not
So
the end.
I hold up my shield and I see that sort of like one part of my shield just broke off from the hit I took, and I look at the paladin like with like this big bruise on my side, and I go to the paladin like, "Can you help me out?"
I suppose. And he
Before
lays
you
a
get a
hand
chance,
gently-
before you get a chance to
Yeah.
do that, the door that is in front of you opens, and out steps what appears to be a woman in white. This woman appears to have a pale face, long albino white hair with blood that seems to like cake her ankles, her feet, the tips of her clawed fingers, the tips of her hair. You can make a knowledge local check to know what these things are.
Got knowledge nobility, but no knowledge local here.
Alright, well then you have no idea. She seems, however, to also be wounded. She steps forth and she says,
You don't know what you're doing. You insignificant creatures. My sisters, they would never forgive me if I let you live.
That's fine, child stealer. I don't think you were leaving this room either way.
Alright, Grim, it is your turn. The creature stands before you.
Having a second juice of smite at 5th level, Gordek, hoping this one's evil because he's not going to spend the time to detect the evil. Graham's going to call to Gordek and attempt to smite evil on this woman again. and he's going to just close the distance and attempt to stab.
Yep, moving through as quickly as he can, raising his sword above him, swings his blade up to try and cleave the unarmored woman.
Is she evil by any chance?
Oh yeah.
Okay, so it's a 35 to hit.
That'll hit.
What? 35 to hit?
Yeah, I rolled
Smite.
a 19, which I actually don't know what the critical range on a longsword is. Is it 19 or is it 20?
19.
Oh, actually, so I'm going to roll to confirm the critical then.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, cool.
I'm going to assume that's not it. It's a 20 to confirm critical.
20 will confirm because she hasn't acted yet.
Oh God. I hope I'm not butchering someone who actually doesn't deserve it. All right, so for critical in Pathfinder, it's roll twice?
Yes.
All right.
And then roll twice on your damage dice, and then double whatever static bonuses you have.
Oh, also double the static bonuses as well. Would that also include the smite bonus?
Yes.
This is a lot of damage.
I am aware, and there's
all right.
and this will be very interesting.
You destroy the dungeon.
Well, I mean, evil things are nice with a paladin. All right, so I'm just gonna give the dice rolls first. So it's a 6, and then a 3 on the dice. So we got 6 plus 3, and then we're adding. Let's see. So I get my level doubled because it's my first attack against her with this new version of Smite. So I'm doubling that for plus 20.
Yep.
Which is okay. And then I haven't actually added in my normal bonus, which is plus 5, which will be another plus 10. I did not as much as I thought. 39 points of slashing damage to the woman in white.
Okay. Well,
She's dead.
Yeah, no, she's dead.
Bypass DR, which is.
Oh yeah, no, I'm aware of all this. Okay, so could I get a reflex save from Grim, please?
Certainly. 7 on the die, which I assume is not going to be very high. But I think I get a plus 5 to that. I do, so that's going to be a 12.
All right. Well, as you slice into her, she seems to sort of screech out as she leans backwards, and doing so, blood cascades from her and explodes in a violent, like basically her blood is flammable, and it ignites, detonating in a huge, giant conflagration of fire around the area. Now, Dustin, you do not make your reflex save.
I didn't think I did.
The rest of you have but a fraction of a second to take an action, and I'm going to start, of course, with Khalid on this one. So, Khalid, you have literally a move or a standard action. Bearing in mind, your move action will not, for none of you, your move action will not take you out of the room, and the fire is encroaching very quickly.
Okay, well, in that case, is the orc paladin, half-orc paladin, within range for me to grab him and pull him backwards?
Oh no, he has been consumed by the flames.
Okay, in that case, yeah. Gonna drink a potion of haste.
Okay, you've chugged a potion of haste. Adminicles, what are you doing?
Vorian, protect me! I cast resistance from elements on myself. Fire.
Very nice. And then, if you would, please, Kimmy, what are you doing?
I do this Braveheart thing where the arrows come in and everybody sits behind their shields.
So you step out and...
people get shot in their asses and stuff, but still, they're sitting behind their shield, so I just do this.
Alright, so what, do you step in front of the other two and sort of put your shield up, or do you just sort of put...
The way I see it, I'm already, and the way I was envisioning
You were already in front of them. Yeah, you
I was
are.
already in front of them. Yeah, I
Yeah.
just go behind my shield because it's like a wooden thing, but it's a wooden shield and there's fire coming. So just maybe something you want to work with. I don't know.
Okay. Well, I got good news and I got bad news. The good news is that thanks to the actions of Kmi, none of the three of you take any damage. As the flames lick and they hit the shield, they pass over either side because obviously the blood itself is the hot, flammable part and most of it gets on your shield, not doing any sufficient damage. Dustin, however, is the proud owner of 80 points of damage.
Down, baby.
Grim has given his life for a noble cause and feels justified as he burns.
As he does so,
Cleric will remember him.
as he does so, the light glows from around him. He's bathed in this almost like a serene light as he shuts his eyes and can hear the sounds of children talking and sort of whispering to each other just beyond the door where the witch had emerged. And in quiet retrospect falls to the back and lands with a thud as these dried out and blackened red leaves from the weed, sort of turn into ash and dust as he lands on the ground with a heavy thud.
Do you die in Pathfinder once you take minus damage, or how does that work?
Well, my current HP was 43.
Yeah,
so
but I don't know. You do not have death saving throws or anything.
I believe there is a limit on that, and it's half of your health in one blow, I think,
Yeah.
or that might be a home rule, but
There is the general rule of death in Pathfinder comes down to negative your con score, and you are perished.
perished.
You have
Ah,
perished.
okay.
You have expired.
That's a lot of more danger than in 5th edition.
That's the point. Yeah, Pathfinder was always supposed to be more dangerous.
You know what's really funny is at this point in time it's really
I
funny
like it.
because it's almost like Henrik's just sort of figured it out and he's like, oh wow, that's super dangerous. I would have been playing way more carefully.
No, I wouldn't.
Okay, no, probably not. Okay.
No.
As the sounds of the fire clear and Kimi lowers her shield, you can see obviously the fire has burnt this entire room of the weeds that were encroaching. You see the grisly remains of your ally lying before you, next to, of course, the sliced open white witch creature.
No. Edmenicles goes rushing over to the burnt corpse of the paladin and just throws healing magic onto the body. Come back! No, he can't die. He was good.
The healing
Bring him
magic,
back!
the healing magic, and your words have spoken to some manner of power beyond your understanding. And Grim, your eyes flutter open, but only for a moment. You have but a moment to leave your final words to your friends and your comrades.
Worry not. I will be remembered, and so shall you.
I swear it. I swear you'll be remembered. I'll write a book about you.
Get to the children, and then get out of this evil place.
Yes. I'll include the children as well in the book. It's fine. But I'll write about you.
Farewell, elf.
Ow.
Oh, there he goes. Okay. All right. Just beyond the door, you can see in front of you several cages hanging from the ceiling, and inside several gaunt and very malnourished children. 13 in number.
Oh, they are alive.
They look at you quietly, almost as if they struggle to speak, having obviously being also very dehydrated as well. Okay.
They're hanging on a certain height, or.
Oh no, they're high enough for you to rescue. But is there something you'd like to say to them? This is kind of like the.
Was she the only one?
Yes. As far as you are aware, she appeared to have been the only person here. The rest of the room appears to be that of a laboratory of some kind. A large cauldron, several, sort of bits of like sort of alchemical tools and sort of devices. And Adminicles, you can make me a perception check. And sorry, did you have something you wanted to say with Kimmy?
Yeah, I want to go full berserk and start grabbing children, like as many as I can carry, and just run out of the dungeon.
You actually find it's easier to carry them in the cages, so you sort of like, and like you've got like two cages, two on the back, two on the front, and you're like,
yeah, and I just start running out because it's like my mother's instinct kicking in, and I'm just going full save the freaking children, leave everybody behind the berserk style. I turn into a barbarian.
Khalid, you can also notice that there are some very valuable relics here as well, things that you believe that this person has stashed away. Some of them shining very golden, and some of them very ivory looking.
Interesting. I'm going to take note of them and check the area to make sure that there's no other traps or anything, no other surprises. And as I'm doing so, I'm going to talk to the children and ask them what has happened and what brought them here.
Now, he's only got 4 of the cases. There's still 2 more, which you guys can take a piece each. The children's try to speak, but it seems like they just can't because, they've got no water. They've, sort of...
If we get them out of the temple, I can create enough water to sort them out. We need to get that town. And the dwarf's gone.
Yeah.
Hey.
I'm just yelling. I'm just yelling from where I am. I'm just yelling, don't feed them too much, because then they die. If you feed somebody that's starving too much food, that person will die. Just saying, learn it in the army, and then I run away.
Fun fact.
That's actually what happened during World War II. They fed an entire camp too much food, and they all died.
Okay, so with that pretty note,
history.
All right, so you gather up your stuff. What was the perception check? Sorry, Adminicles?
The perception check was 16.
With a 16, you actually notice that several of the jars seem to contain samples of the red weed, and they seem to be marked with specific dates and times, some going back even decades. You also notice that there are various herbs and plants that seem to be kept quite meticulously, almost familiarly meticulously, in fact.
Wait a second. That's Wethrin's system of coding. Khalid?
Yes.
I think Phylacene is in cahoots with this white witch.
What makes you believe that?
Oh. Look at these jars, I say, holding up a jar. You see that? The way that it's been named?
Yeah.
The phylozoology is quite clearly labeled in an ascending order.
Interesting. Do I pick up on the nuances of the naming scheme and whatnot?
Absolutely not.
No. Okay. Didn't think so.
It's Wethrin all over. This is Wethrin's system. If Phylacene uses Wethrin's system, it's a very uncommon system to use because, well, though it is Elvish, Wethrin wasn't exactly what most scholars would call practical. It's like a fingerprint. If you use Wethrin's coding, it's because you've studied his methods, which are backwards, basically.
So, what you're saying is the witch and the elven apothecary that we encountered, they're using the same system, and it's an odd system to use. So they
The chances of someone two people in the same swamp using Wetherin's system is astronomically small.
perhaps we should consider finding a different way home.
We need to warn the dwarf. I think he's going to take the children straight to Phylacine, considering that I think she thinks he's.
Well, grab a cage and let's head out and talk to him. We'll come back for the rest.
All right.
How heavy are the cages?
Given they're filled with small children, not heavy enough that they're going to impede you so that you cannot travel. Grabbing hold of the cages, you immediately begin to hurry after your dwarven companion, making your way through the forest back the way you came. You eventually come to the same clearing that you once did, where Phylacine had resided. But where his home once was, there was nothing. As if the place had never been there in the first place. Instead, you see a small mound with a small sort of plaque wooden structure sticking out of it, which actually reads the name Phylacine, which has long reeds growing over it.
Didn't the witch, before dear poor Grim, before all of that happened, didn't the witch say something about sisters?
Yeah. Her sisters would not be happy with her if we survived.
What if one of the sisters was pretending to be Phylacine, led us to another sister in the temple who was supposed to destroy us, only she obviously has failed. That's why this one...
But wouldn't... It's an interesting thing, but wouldn't Grim have noticed that the original... that Phylacine was evil?
Let's be perfectly frank here for a moment. Vorian was the one who was doing most of the work. I'm not saying that his deity's wrong. I'm just saying might not have been working at the time.
Haunted.
All of a sudden, there seems to be a specter of a familiar paladin who seems to let loose a all too familiar sigh behind the ears of our beloved Adminicles.
Nonetheless, we should get back to camp, back to town, and we should avoid the crocodile folk because obviously they're in the enslavement of this, whatever this.
Well, while we're here we're stopped, let's at least administer some food and water, at least some nourishment to the children.
Oh, you most certainly do so. As the night slowly rings on and you begin your procession back to the city with now well-fed and well-nourished children who are very grateful and are very happy to express this. And of course, Adminicles, who is very promptly reminding them of the brave life of the paladin that had saved them in order to try and instill the memories of beloved Grim in the minds and hearts of these young children. The procession goes rather peacefully, with both an air of joy at the salvation of all the children, but also with the sorrow at the loss of one of our beloved adventurers. As the scene unfolds on this, our one-shot adventure, we see that the happy parents embrace their children one by one, and several of those who do not have families, who in fact were stolen away from the orphanage, return to their place that they had called home. And one small child with hand clasping one of their other orphaned siblings sheds but a single tear. This tear, of course, is bright red. And with that, thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for joining us for this amazing one-shot. I had a awesome time. Holy hell. I hope you guys had fun. Did you guys have fun?
No, yeah, it was a blast.
No, not even in the very least.
Last too soon, man.
Yeah, no, it's always the case. It's always the case. And I kind of felt that way too. I was like, guys, we're like half an hour over. And it was like, all right, well, I guess we'll keep going. I was kind of like, okay, you've saved the children. I can start the epilogue. No, you want to go and investigate that? All right, now I can start the, oh, no, you want to talk a bit more? Okay, now? Yeah. So, yeah. But no, it was awesome. It was great. And I mean, hell, that's always a great sign. I actually do want to hear from each of you guys really quickly, just if you've got the time, a little bit about how you thought the experience went, what you think of, obviously, not only the game, but an introduction into the setting, because obviously this is a touch on to the new Raenor setting, which will be one day hitting shelves. Hopefully we'll know more details in the future, and Ask a Pathfinder will put them up there. But yeah, so what do you guys think? Let's of course start with Adminicles. Adminicles was by far the loudest character, and I demand he speak first.
Well, I think it's a really cool setting. The Garrodan certainly are an interesting history, to say the least. I like the temple sort of stuff. Yeah, absolutely. I think there is a promise of story there, which is what I always look for and what I always like. So yeah, I had a lot of fun. Hope he wasn't too loud.
No, it was awesome. Any favorite moments from today?
Oh, apart from the dwarf just eating and drinking and licking everything. What I liked was that everyone kind of had moments. So the thief, you know, the rogue had his monkey bars, or primate bars as they should be called, I suppose, in this case. Moment, you know, that was fantastic. The paladin, of course, his grand exit. And like I said, dwarf, I really enjoyed the consumption component. It's like, what are you doing? No. Anyway, so that was it. I had a lot of fun.
Awesome. And of course, speaking of the dwarf, Kmi, obviously very important here. Your first Pathfinder game.
Well, I've come to the conclusion that it is a role-playing game, and in the big spectrum of it all, or how would you say it? It is a role-playing game, so it is a different system, but actually, for me, it's just basically a role-playing game. I just ask a question for some basic rules, and it just happens, and that's why I love it. So people are always comparing 5th edition to Pathfinder or to 4th edition, which didn't exist, and then 3.5, and they're all like, this is better, and while these people are complaining about that stuff, I'm just sitting there playing a role-playing game and enjoying the hell out of it. So for me, yeah, Pathfinder is great. 5th edition is great. Every role-playing game that you enjoy is great.
I wholeheartedly agree. What about your favorite moments? Do you have any favorite moments from today?
Well, yeah. The thing is, with this adventure, I was thinking the entire time, this is way too easy. This is too easy. We're not taking any damage, or almost no damage, and then there was like 5 damage to me, and then there was 16 damage to me, and some people were taking damage, and I was like, this is way too easy. And then the paladin with one blow just blows the entire thing to smithereens, and then shit hit the fan.
Well, things were.
So yeah, I think that's crazy. That's cool.
Well, a couple of things actually. I do love to end on a bang. I actually, it's really interesting you say that, because I'm going to point this out to both the audience and obviously the players here. There were so many moments where I was like, okay, I might kill these guys. The first was the blind helm, right? Now, the blind helm, as much as I thought you guys were going to get away with that, I thought someone's going to get blinded, and then they're going to have a 50% mischance and everything, and the blind helms are going to murderize them. What I didn't expect is that Master Guy to turn around and summon snakes and all that, and I was just like, yeah, okay, at this point I've got no real valid reason as to why they'd stick around, and there was that. The second thing was obviously the giant gorilla, and I always knew the paladin was gonna, you know, do something sizable with that. I always knew that. I was kind of prepared for that. I was kind of hoping for a crit, to be honest. At some point, I was hope I could at least knock some of the health down. So the big gorilla thing, that was all right. the witch actually was a really tough fight. Except when you smite and crit it. And during the course of that, what you were supposed to learn is that it was a blood hag, and it had tons of spells, tons of different things. It would have enraged you, got you to turn on each other. There's a whole bunch of things. I wrote a page on how to convert it and do stuff with it, but you know what? Fine, smite. But then it also has...
question.
Yeah.
Sorry. One question I really had was, what if everybody failed that saving throw, that will saving throw with the gorillas and the mists?
Basically...
Then everybody would have turned to gorillas and everybody would have just
been beating the crap out of each other. Yep. Absolutely. I think that would have been funny. But I think it was just as funny that only Minicles suffered from it. Because it was just really funny to watch him freaking out. All right, cool. Thank you. And then, of course, Dustin, the man who's given his life for the game.
Sure. So I really liked the setting, and less so in the game because we didn't build any characters that were like the knowledge banks. But like in character creation, I think my favorite thing about the setting was how much a focus there was on the heritage, almost like the races, but like the sub races. Because not only was I a half orc, but like if I got more into it, I was half swamp orc, which is a specific thing. They all have specific like names. There's even a couple other variances on the half breed, like the half orc, half elf, which I chose not to pursue. I just really enjoyed building a character in the world and getting to know it. And obviously the adventure itself was perfect. I just don't feel like we justified characters to learn about the world as well as we probably should have. But even so, solid time. And favorite moment was easily, I had a character death that had value. It wasn't rocks fell and I died. It wasn't I fell off monkey bars trying to climb in full armor and died. I mean, I've listened to other shows, other podcasts, and honestly, character deaths, if you're playing them real, they happen all sorts of weird ways. I got to die in an epic explosion after doing my least favorite thing as a GM, obliterating an encounter in one hit. Also, as a GM, I really appreciated, Michael, how you had set up certain things where if we were running behind on time, you could easily subvert what you were planning. Like, I'm pretty sure we were supposed to go to both rooms before we opened up the secret door, but we were very short on time. One little, I don't know, my GM senses were tingling, and I'm like, that's nice. I like how he did that. That's a really nice flow. And that's something I honestly get bogged down with, is I usually have like a path, and it's not linear by any sense, but I don't always have shortcut solutions built in, and I like that a lot.
Yeah, that implies that it was built in. One of the things that I learned very, very long time ago was that I am the king of bullshit. And that is definitely a skill that makes it for very good GMing. Of course, the man of the hour whose setting this technically is, well, not technically, actually, I mean, of course, Sean, how'd you go? I mean, obviously, I don't care what you think about your own setting.
Of course not. It was great. The setting is amazing. The history is grand. And okay, enough smoke up my own ass.
How much did I fuck up? I mean, sorry. How much did I stuff up?
Nothing. Like, as far as the setting goes, the only interesting thing that I found was the use of the dragon. Because for those that don't know, dragons are a rarity in Raenor. It's very dragon-like. While they do exist, they are thought to be extinct. That's how rare they are. And so putting that in the temple definitely was like, And I've shared a lot of the setting with you, Michael. So you're probably next to my publisher, the most well-versed in Raenor, and I think you ran it very well. The entire cast was very engaging, and I had a great time. It was fun. And for those that don't know, this was actually the first game ran in Raenor.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
Yay! It's an honor.
All right, and of course, last but not least, your favorite moment, and then we'll do the wrap up.
Favorite moment. My favorite moment definitely had to be the mists. And how the mists played out with the cast. I thought it was absolutely hilarious. And it gave me a lot of interesting insight into the hazards of the Felden Marsh and what I could explore there.
Oh yeah, by the way, I made up almost every hazard. He basically said, "Angry Marsh, do something," and I was like,
Yeah.
okay. All right, cool. Thank you very much, guys. And again, a big thank you to my cast who has joined us. Again, if you want to check us out, we all have somewhere you can go be. Of course, I will plug them as quickly as I can. Of course, Dustin here is the ever-talented GM of several podcasts and shows on Twitch. And you could find him running Never Split the Party, an amazing Starfinder adventure with a group of very, very talented people. And I think that's what, is it Never Split the Party is your Twitch TV thing?
Yeah. Never Split the Party is the channel name, and right now it's the show name. We'll branch out eventually, but for right now we're focusing on Starfinder and sticking it this so. But every Tuesday, 8:30 p.m. EST, which is awkward for Australians, I think, over on Twitch, which is just, twitch.tv/Never Split the Party.
Sweet. And of course, a big thank you to Mr. Tarrasque, whose very first Pathfinder game this is, who you can find on YouTube, as well as on Discord, like myself. He's a very, very proactive person. So, definitely go check out his stuff, as he's got a whole bunch of cool reviews on D&D material, and his love of the fighter permeates almost everywhere on his channel. So if you definitely want to check him out, you can go find him on YouTube. You don't have like a Facebook thing, do you?
I'm most active on YouTube and on Twitter, actually. I have a Twitter account that is linked underneath all my YouTube videos, and I'm very active on Twitter, yeah.
Right on.
I just learned Twitter while I started YouTube, and Twitter was all new to me, and it felt so prehistoric, but still, now I think it's amazing. So I use
this guy's talking about social media being prehistoric, and speaking of prehistoric, of course, Mr. Guy, who you can find on YouTube under How to Be a Great Game Master, as well as the Bacon Battalion, where you will also find me sneaking my cheeky little Mutaru head in. Yeah, you can come, obviously watch a whole bunch of his shows. Like, honestly, look, I'm Master Pathfinder. I specialize in Pathfinder. Guy here is a narrative genius. There is so much that I have learnt and used for today's session based on some of the stuff that he's done. So if you get a chance to, go and check him out at How to Be a Great Game Master. There's also a Facebook page. There's also a Twitter account. A whole bunch of different things. Anything you'd like to pitch?
Just to say that your check for being my publicist is in the mail, and doing a great job, and keep going.
Excellent, excellent. I already got the mug and the hat and everything, so I'm yeah. And of course, the setting comes courtesy of course, Storm Bunny Studios, of which Master Sean is a part of. Anything you want to plug? Because obviously Raenor's not out yet. So just to be clear, guys, we're sort of building up to it. Raenor will come out. There's a whole bunch of really cool and exciting things, as Dustin said, the heritage stuff, as, Guy have said, the history and all of that sort of stuff. All of these things are going to be available at some point.
Yes, they are. Like I said, this is the first game, Brandon Raenor. We're prepping a primer. The primer should be... we're pushing for it to be out at the very least by the beginning of 2019. We've decided to couple that with an adventure saga that's going to be based in the city of Cairngad, which is actually just north of the Felton Marsh. So you can definitely look for those two things. At the very latest, it's going to be 2019, but we're actually making a little bit of headway with some other projects, so it may be sooner than that. But you can keep an ear to the ground. Our Facebook page is Citizens of Raenor, or you can also check out the Facebook page for Storm Bunny Studios, and check us out at www.stormbunnystudios.com.
Sweet. Okay, guys. Well, thank you again for joining us, and if you've tuned in for the whole way, thank you very much. We love hearing your feedback, and until next time, guys, this is Michael from Ask a Pathfinder telling you to keep your dice rolling and make sure your ideas stay mindworm-free. Have a good one, guys. Okay.
How long do we hold it?
I don't know. We can do it like the 90s cartoons where you're like, you're like leaping into the air.
Yeah.
All right.
Are we off? Are we off?
Yeah,
well, okay.
we're still kind of recording and stuff like that. Just again for posterity's sake, so that we guys can bookmark this. Cool. All right. Thank you guys. I mean, holy crap, that was awesome. I had a lot of fun. I really enjoyed
It was
myself.
definitely a blast.
Whew.
Again, too soon.
That's okay.
So when are we playing session number 2 again?
Position number 2. Oh, we'll continue this one. All right.
Was it a two-shot campaign?
Two-shot campaign? 2 or 3? Well, look, I love playing with you guys, and I like I said, I've had a ton of fun. I do have a plug for you guys, obviously. Now, me and Guy, we are about to undergo a podcasty type thing, and this obviously goes out to Dustin and Mr. T. Mr. T, I think you've been told about it and stuff like that, and Justin, I think you've kind of been on the wind on it. But we have been asked to do a thing called Mummy's Mask, which is a Pathfinder adventure. It's something that obviously we did one this morning, which was really funny and very enjoyable, and we've given it to Jeff Ball, who is the guy who runs it. If you guys are interested in hanging out and playing on a table with me and Guy, throw him, because you guys have his contact, I think, or you can contact him through me, etc. Yeah, definitely throw him out, because, I mean, like, dude, you guys are awesome, and I'd love a chance to play with you guys on
he actually asked me, but I think it was the timetable that didn't agree with me.
My issue is time as well, which it always will be. But
yeah, it's always gonna be, because the catch is obviously like a part of that is me and Guy's fault, mostly because me and Guy live in future wibbly wobbly time, which is why I got it all wrong right out the gate.
But it was every Friday, or
yeah, it was in every Friday.
It was either every Friday or every bi Friday, like every second Friday.
He wants it to be every second Friday.
Yeah.
Hendrik, for you, I think you would be the problem in the equation from a timing perspective, because I think it would be your Saturday morning.
Yeah, it would be Friday to Saturday during the night. I can just absolutely.
Oh, is it that? Yeah.
Actually, yeah, it would be like 1 a.m., wouldn't it? Yeah. Oh no, wait.
My girlfriend is sleeping in the next room, so yeah. I will not do that.
Well, that's why you need this, like, you know, the full blown
soundproofing.
Soundproofing setup, etc. Yeah.
Totally interested. For me, it's just I can't commit more time. I got a 3-year-old and a 1-year-old, so most of my time is family time. And right now, Tuesdays and every other Wednesday are my only gaming time. Even then, every other Wednesday has been spotty at best. So
yeah, no, that's so cool.
When they're older, I will be seeking everyone out for more time. I'm 100% sure.
You think that, man? But I've got an 18-year-old. Almost 18-year-old. No, your time does not get.
You're in for the long haul. All right.
I do plan on making them gamers, so I will find a way. And then they'll hate gaming by respect. I know that's how it goes, but I'm gonna try.
And for what it's worth, for me, if you're ever planning anything else, do ask me, because
there is one more thing. There's one more thing. One final thing, and that is of course me and Guy, aside from Roll20, are potentially looking to put together a cast to do a Starfinder version of what we're doing with the Bacon Battalion, called.
I really want to play Starfinder.
Called Chronicles of the Star Swift, and it's not restricted to that time slot. In fact, Guy is pretty much the only person confirmed to be on that table at the moment. So, depending on expressions of interest, who we get involved, who we want to do, Guy, we're kind of looking at putting together a like I said, the sort of a follow-up for the Bacon Battalion at a time that can work for people who aren't, you know, insane.
And I won't be playing as annoying a character as Menocles was today.
Hold on, wait.
I like the annoying character, so doesn't.
Wait. What about what was his name? That android you were playing.
Oh, the logical android, yes.
Is that what we're going with?
Probably. Just as an aside, I didn't know this. I typed in some random name for the elf, and spell checker offered me Admenical. And I was like, well, if I put an ed on this, it's on the end it becomes Admenicles. And I'm like, well, what the hell is an Admenical? I've never heard of an Admenical before. And it's a Greek term for a document that proves that another document exists. except that the other document doesn't exist. So it got burned in a fire or whatever. Your admenical would be in the document that so-and-so wrote, he said this, and then it's a copy of. So that proves that the other document... Anyway, I just thought that was funny. So that's why he suddenly became this book-toting psychopath.
That actually makes a lot of sense for your character.
I kind of think, I mean, like, one of the things that I learned way back when was the whole naming, the stigma around names and where the names originate. So as soon as I heard Admenicles, I was like, I know everything I need to know about this character. Like when you that's why I didn't even question it when you pulled out the book. I was like, no, this guy in my head, he has a library. He's like, oh wait, one moment, I've got something, and you know, out it comes. And Sean, you know exactly how I feel about naming conventions.
Oh, good God, yes. Most definitely.
We ended up with 7 different books because I wrote down the name of each one.
Oh man, you came up them coming so well off the fly. I definitely approve. All right, guys. Anyway, I will allow you to go. Please enjoy your day. Please enjoy your evening. I'm going to try and find some sustenance.
Yeah.
I'm expressing my interest. I'm expressing
In the
my interest
Starfinder?
for the Pathfinder campaign, by the way.
Oh, the Starfinder one?
Yeah. The Starfinder.
Also, tentative interest. Keep me in the loop, but please do not even bother to attempt scheduling around me. It's unpleasant right now. It'll get better maybe.
Okay.
But not for a bit.
Okay. All right. I'll just force feed you times and just be like,
That's
eat
perfect.
this.
Let me know what people are looking at. I'll let you know what works.
All right, guys.
Cool. Whenever you do get the YouTube stream up, shoot me a link if you don't mind, Michael.
Oh, no, absolutely. Like I said, what's going to happen here, just FYI, I have... Oh, shit, have I stopped recording? I haven't. Give me a second.